Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is story about what if Naruto dies by Kakashi hands and Shinigami offers part 1. Before I start, please do support for more amazing content and comments for part 2. Do consider to subscribe my channel and share my video to your friends and check out the description as well. Let's start the video. Naruto stood looking over his body in morbid silence. His face was straight, no emotion visible on his face. He was confused. It is strange when you think of it. Many people fear death. They try to find ways to stay alive, but somehow there are those that can't cheat death. Naruto sighed. Did his time really come? He didn't know. All he knew is that he was dead. Dead, what a strange and yet familiar word it was now to him. For years he heard people shouting and whispering the word, but it was followed by other words such as death to the demon, or the demon should die, or the well-known die demon. It was strange, oh so very strange. He couldn't help but feel relieved. Dying was indeed a bad thing, but at least he did it for someone precious. He met her just a few days ago, but still, he knew she was special. She deserved to be protected. Naruto sighed again. He then shook his head. If he would sigh too much, he would make it a habit. He glanced over his body again, remembering how he died. He subconsciously brought his hand to his chest and shuddered. Flashback. Naruto was looking at the hunter Nin's face in shock, his anger for the death of Sasuke long gone. He was stunned to find out that the ninja they had been fighting was none other than Haku, the girl that he met in the forest when he was training. He couldn't believe his eyes. Why did she do what she just did? Why did she just kill Sasuke? He had no idea. She was going on and telling him she was a weapon. Naruto gritted his teeth when she told him to kill her. No, I won't kill you, yelled Naruto. Haku was silent, but then she stood, her head bowed. You don't understand now. You have taken away my reason for living. Zabuza-sama has no need for weak shinobi, or a defective tool. You're not a tool, snapped Naruto. What makes him so special anyway? Haku bowed her head, and told Naruto of her history. She explained how in Mizu no Kuni, those with bloodlines were seen as monsters and tools, and civil wars in Mizu no Kuni had resulted in the deaths of nearly all the Kekkei Genkai users in Mizu no Kuni. My mother was one of them, she said, her eyes vacant. And when my father found out, he killed her, and then tried to kill me, but I killed him. Then Zabuza found you, finished Naruto, his gaze saddened. Her life was somewhat like his, unwanted, and alone. Hi, said Haku. He took me as his own, and trained me to be his perfect tool. But now she trailed off, looking to the side. Zabuza-sama has no need for a defective tool, so please kill me, Naruto-kun. Naruto stood up straight. Sorry, but no, I won't kill you. Haku turned her head to the side, then they both felt a powerful energy. Haku muttered something about Zabuza and immediately disappeared. Naruto turned his head towards Kakashi's direction and saw him approaching Zabuza with lighting on his hand. Naruto's eyes narrowed when he saw Haku heading towards Zabuza and knew what she was going to do. He pushed as much chakra as he could into his feet and leaped away. He looked and saw Haku appearing in front of Zabuza and Kakashi just inches away. Naruto pushed everything he had into his feet and reached Haku in time. He grabbed her arm and pushed her away, landing in front of Zabuza and getting hit by Kakashi's attack in the chest. Naruto screamed in pain. Kakashi and Zabuza looked in shock at the boy. They heard someone scream, besides Naruto, and saw Haku with tears in her eyes at the sight. End flashback. Naruto shook his head. He didn't like the way things turned out, but as they say, that's life. He looked at Haku and saw the girl pouring her heart on his chest. Why? Asked Haku, crying. Why did you have to do it? Zabuza cleared the mist a while ago and was looking over the boy's body with sad eyes. Naruto glanced over at Kakashi and to his surprise he saw that his sensei was holding back tears. He saw the remorse in his eyes. He knew that Kakashi didn't mean to do that. He knew it would have been too late to stop the attack. He just gave Kakashi a small smile, even thought he couldn't see it. Naruto muttered, Kakashi lowering his head in shame. Just then they heard someone clapping. They all turned and saw Gato with his thugs on the end of the bridge. He had a smug grin plastered on his face. So impressive, the boy gives his life to save the demon and his whore, said Gato smugly. Shut up, yelled Haku with tears in her eyes. What is the meaning of this? Demanded Zabuza. He chuckled Gato. The plans changed. At first I wasn't going to pay you, and let the hunter Nin from Kirigakure know where you were. Zabuza grimaced. He knew this wasn't going to end well, but then I saw this fight, and thought that it'd be better to kill off you guys, and give the girls to my men as part of a job well done, he said, pointing to Haku. You bastard, said Zabuza, gritting his teeth. He took off his bandages and looked at Kakashi. Throw me a kunai. Kakashi nodded and took a kunai out. Here, he said, throwing the kunai. Zabuza caught the kunai with his mouth and looked at Gato. Consider what I do now as my way of saying I quit, Zabuza said with venom in his voice. Kid, wherever you are, this is for you, said Zabuza, charging Gato. Naruto smiled as he heard what Zabuza said. He muttered a thanks and stood watching. Somehow he was sad that he wasn't the one to kill that Gato person, especially after what he did, and said, Sayonara, Haku, said Zabuza, and ignoring Haku's calls for him to stop, he rushed towards his opponents. I like that man, said a voice behind Naruto. The blonde boy spun around and saw a tall man. No, scratch that. a huge man with a bandage on one eye. The man was dressed with white clothing which had a diamond on the back with kanji for 11 in it. The man had a funky hairdo. His hair was in spikes and at the tips he had bells. He also had a strange sword strapped to his waist. "Who are you?" asked Naruto fearfully. The man looked at him. "Kenpachi Zaraki, captain of the 11th Division in Godai 13. He stated. "Now shush, I want to see what that man does," he told Naruto, pointing to Zabuza. Gato saw Zabuza coming and ran behind the ranks of his men, ordering them to kill him. They responded enthusiastically, but as Zabuza approached, they saw his aura surrounding him. "A true demon," said one, and Zabuza began to cut through them. Gato was sure that Zabuza was dead, but Zabuza proved him wrong. He appeared before Gato, sword sticking out of his back, and stabbed the short man with the kunai. Zabuza was single-minded in his mission. "Hope you like the heat," he said, his eyes now shining with madness, "because where you and I are going, it's going to be hot." With that, he severed Gata's head from his body. His mission done, he did a backflip and started running back to Haku and the remaining of Team 7. When he got there, he stopped and turned to look at thugs. He gave them a sadistic grin before he collapsed on the ground panting. Gata's men turned to Team 7 and Haku. "You guys are dead," one shouted. "Ransack the village," yelled one, and another yelled, "Take anything of value, starting with those girls." Kakashi was facing the oncoming hordes. Damn, he looked at Zabuza and saw his wounds but realized that he was going to live. He started doing hand signs and in a puff of smoke about 20 clones appeared. Everyone was caught by surprise when an arrow landed in front of the gang of henchmen. "If you come on our island," shouted Inari, at the head of a group of vengeful villagers, "we'll stop you with everything we've got." The thugs, seeing the masses, knew that they couldn't do anything more and that they had already lost. They started retreating. Naruto grinned when he saw that. Those guys were a bunch of cowards in his opinion. "Ni-san!" yelled someone. Naruto and Kenpachi turned to see Inari running to Naruto's body. He shook the body, trying to wake him up even though he saw the hole in the chest. He started crying. This made Naruto tear up. "Hey, brighten up," heard Naruto a cheery voice. He turned to look at Zaraki and saw a young girl with bubblegum pink hair. She wore black robes and had a strange insignia on her arm. The little girl, like the man, had a sword strapped to her waist, but her sword was shorter, fitted for her. "Who are you?" asked Naruto. The girl gave an adorable smile to Naruto and answered. "My name is Kusajika Yachiru, 11th Division Vice Captain." "What are we going to do with Naruto's body?" asked Kakashi. "Sensei, what about Sasuke-kun?" asked Sakura. Haku sneered. "He is not dead, he is out cold." Naruto turned back to his depression when he saw that even in death the girl he thought he loved didn't give a damn about him. The little girl saw the sad look and frowned. She jumped from Zaraki's shoulder and landed on Naruto's and started pulling his hair. "Ah!" yelled Naruto, grabbing his head. "What are you doing? Cheer up, you are too sad," giggled the little girl. "Got off me!" he yelled while trying to take the girl of him. "Michiru, look over Naruto while I send that spirit to its rightful place," said Kenpachi as he started walking towards Gato. Apparently, Naruto turned his attention back to the group on the bridge. Yachiru got off him and stood near him. She was shorter than him. She only reached to his waist or so. Naruto couldn't help but grin, thinking that he wasn't the only one short around here. "Naruto-kun," murmured Haku. Zabuza put a hand on her shoulder. "Sorry, Haku," he said. The girl just nodded, not taking her eyes of Naruto or from the boy that was still crying over his dead and Aizen. Just then Tazuna came and looked with a sad face. "We should bury him," he said. Kakashi nodded. "Do you think you could bury him here?" he asked. "I'm not sure that people back in Konoha won't stop from defiling his grave." "Why is that?" asked Tazuna, turning to look at Kakashi. The silver-haired Jounin sighed. "Let's just say that he carried something he didn't ask for and everyone hated him, not being able to see past their own fears." Tazuna nodded and picked up Naruto. "I'm going to make him the best grave I can. He will always be remembered here as a hero," he said, walking away followed by everyone. In the end, all that was left on the bridge were corpses and of course Naruto with the two people. Kenpachi had returned from what he did. He had a sadistic smile on his face that made Naruto shudder inwardly. Yachiru looked at Naruto and asked, "Why do people hate you?" She put it bluntly. Naruto sighed. "Well, I guess that I can tell you if you tell me what you are and what is with this chain," he said, grabbing the broken chain that was coming out of his chest. "Sure," said the girl cheerfully. "Well, it's like this. 12 years ago my home village Konoha was attacked by the 9-tailed demon fox Kyubi. Our leader, the Yondaime, was forced to seal the fox in a newborn baby because a mere human couldn't kill a demon. So he sealed it in me and died. That is why everyone in my home village hates me. Only a few, a handful or so, don't hate me," said Naruto. Said Kenpachi, rubbing his chin. "Well, since you told us, we will tell you, we are Shinigami." Naruto raised an eyebrow. "But I thought that there was only one Shinigami." "Correction, there are more. Also, there are those spirits that possess abilities can become Shinigami by attending the academy. When they graduate, they are put in a squad and they hunt down hollows," said Kenpachi. "What are hollows?" asked Naruto. "A hollow is a spirit that doesn't have a heart anymore. You can see which one is a hollow by the fact that they have a hole where their heart should be," said Kenpachi again. Okay, so what is with the chain? That is the chain of fate. When it breaks, you are dead. If you stay too long on this world while time passes, the chain will erode, and when it disappears, you will become a hollow, or you can also become one if a hollow devours you. Naruto cringed. And what are you going to do to me? He asked, afraid. Silly Spiky, said Yuichiro, giggling. We are going to send you to the afterlife, so you, in Soul Society. What is that? The blonde asked. You people call it heaven, responded Kenpachi. Oh, said Naruto. So do you want to go? Asked Kenpachi. Even thought they said they will send him there. Well, I would like to see my funeral if it's possible, said Naruto. Kenpachi nodded. Alright. Yuichiro jumped on the man's shoulder and turned to Naruto. Come jump in Kenchan's back, he will take us there, she said cheerfully. I don't think he would like it, said Naruto, uncertain. The girl giggled again. Silly, Kenchan doesn't mind, don't you, Kenchan? The man just groaned and nodded slowly. Naruto climbed on his back and he dashed away at amazing speed. A day later. A day had passed and everyone was prepared for the funeral. Naruto had to wait for a day. It wasn't all that bad if you scratched the parts when the girl bugged him to tell him about ninjas and such. Naruto swore that the girl had more energy than he did. She wouldn't stop smiling, talking, bouncing. He wondered how Kenpachi deals with such a thing. Speaking of Kenpachi, Naruto found out that the man was insane when it came to battles. He was always looking for strong ones to fight to the death. Naruto thought he was insane to wish such a thing, but then again he found out that the man was so powerful he would give old man Sarutobi trouble. Now Naruto was standing on top of a hill looking at the people gathered there. True to his word, Tazuna spent all night to build the perfect grave, fit for a hero. Everyone in Wave Country helped his build the grave. The grave itself was simple like any other, but the grave itself was surrounded by a white fence. The entrance was like a gate on top of which was written Wave's savior. Naruto looked at the people assembled. Everyone from Wave was present and everyone was mourning for him. It was strange for Naruto since he hasn't seen anyone except for Iruka, the old man Hokage, and a few other cry for him. Naruto glanced at Haku and saw her crying. Her eyes were red and the blonde boy suspected that it were from crying all night. He tried to hug her but found that he couldn't. He tried to talk to her but she didn't hear. She just cried. She then walked to his grave and placed a white flower on it, and stood there watching the grave with tears in her eyes. Naruto sighed and felt himself tearing up. You know, said Yuichiro, if you become a Shinigami you will be able to come back here and see your girlfriend. Naruto blushed at the girlfriend remark and turned to the small girl. You serious? He asked. The girl nodded happily. Yeah, alright, yelled Naruto, then I will defiantly become a Shinigami. Kenpachi smirked. It was a scary smirk. He was glad the boy decided to become a Shinigami. He hadn't told him, but his spiritual energy was immense but out of control. With training he would become as strong as a captain, or even more. Kenpachi wanted to fight Naruto in the near future. Naruto walked over to Haku and put a hand on her shoulder and listened to what she said. Naruto-kun, sob, why did you have to, sob, save me? She asked, sobbing. Why did you, sob, do it? To save you, Haku-chan, said Naruto. You are my precious person, I didn't want you to die. He knew she couldn't hear, but it just felt right for Naruto to tell her. What will you do now? Asked Kakashi. I have no idea, said Zabuza. Still, I'm tired of running. If we could, said Haku, could we join Konoha? For Naruto-kun, she said with teary eyes. Kakashi nodded. We will talk to the Hokage. I am sure he will agree with it. Haku smiled. Thank you, she said, and then turned to face the grave again. I promise I will become strong for you, Naruto-kun, she said, blowing a kiss to the grave. Naruto blushed madly at the sigh and hugged Haku. Thank you, Haku-chan, he whispered. Haku tensed for a second. She thought she heard someone. It was like Naruto's voice. She smiled, thinking that his soul was watching her. Naruto, for his part, got back on his feet and turned to Kenpachi. Alright, I'm ready. Kenpachi nodded and motioned to Yuichiro. The girl leaped to Naruto and took her sword out and put the sword's hilt on his forehead. Naruto was slowly dissolving in a blue light. Before he disappeared, he heard the little girl. Meet you on the other side, she said happily. Naruto opened his eyes and found himself staring at a blue sky with several clouds. He was lying on the ground in the middle of a town of some sort, and everyone was looking at him, but not glaring. Their eyes held curiosity. Naruto sighed as the events of his death replayed in his head. He put his arms under his head and gazed at the sky like Shikamaru would do. He didn't know what he should do. He knew that the girl, Yuichiro, said they would meet on the other side. He figured that this town was the other side, so now he waited. Suddenly something heavy dropped on his stomach. He let out a gasp for air and then looked at what fell on him. He saw a little girl with bubblegum hair. She was smiling an innocent smile at him. What the hell? Asked Naruto, raising his voice. You're too stiff, said the girl, starting to bounce up and down on his chest. Naruto gasped for air every time she landed on his stomach. Would Alf, you Alf, stop Alf, jumping Alf on me? He asked between oofs. The girl stopped and looked at him in the eyes. Only if you stop being so depressed, she said sternly. Naruto rolled his eyes. It's not like I died before, so I can't help it, alright? Yuichiro pouted. Fine, Spiky. Naruto's eyebrow twitched. Why the hell do you call me Spiky? He demanded. Well, your hair is spiky, I could call you Blondie, she said, giggling. I got a name, you know. The blonde boy said, twitching. Oh, Yuichiro put her hand under her chin to think. What was it she said, thinking fish cake or something. My name is Uzumaki Naruto, yelled the boy, enraged. She had struck a chord. The girl seemed unfazed. She smiled at him. Ah, yeah, fishy cake, she said, giggling. Naruto's face faltered. He turned and looked at Kenpachi. How do you deal with this? He asked. Kenpachi looked at Naruto, and then Yuichiro. That's nothing, he said. Hey, Spiky, said Yuichiro, gaining Naruto's attention again. What? He asked angrily and twitching madly. The girl looked at him, and then put a hand on his forehead. Do you have a fever? She asked. Your face is red. Naruto fell on his back and started hitting the back of his head on the ground. This got the attention of everyone around him. Some people started laughing while others felt sympathy for the boy, seeing as he was brought here by Yuichiro and Kenpachi. Yuichiro was known for being a hyperactive girl that always liked to give nicknames to anyone, while Kenpachi was the type that always looked for fight. Yuichiro, said Kenpachi, we should explain him some stuff before we take him to Suriidai. Okay, said the girl happily. She got off Naruto, and the blonde boy lazily got on his feet and looked around. True, he was in a strange-looking city, in a way similar to the small villages from where he came. He saw children, adults, old people, and even animals. He then turned to look towards a strange city in the horizon. It looked very different from the town he was currently in. He turned to ask what the city was and what purpose it held. So what is that city? Asked Naruto. That is Suriidai, responded Kenpachi. That is where Shinigami live. We are currently in Rakangai. This is a place for souls that cannot become Shinigami. It is the largest portion of Soul Society and the most populated. It is divided into 320 districts, each numbered in descending order on how far they are from the center. This results in the higher numerated districts decaying into slums. Thus, while District 1 is peaceful and lawful, District 80 is a hardscrabble, violent, crime-infested area. Naruto cringed when he heard that. He hoped he won't go through the same treatment here like in Konoha. He had had enough there. He didn't want a tortured afterlife. His cringe was saw by the two Shinigami. What's wrong? Asked Ichiru. Oh, nothing. It's just the way things go in this place as numbers go down, said Naruto, shaking. But why are you shaking? Asked Kenpachi, interested. Naruto sighed. Nothing important. Ichiru frowned. She then grinned and jumped on Naruto's back and started pulling his hair. Oh, come on, tell us, she said happily, not minding the boy's suffering. Ah, my hair, get down, yelled Naruto desperately. Only if you tell us. Fine, yelled Naruto. The girl let go of his hair and leaned on his shoulder. Naruto's eyebrow twitched. Alright, well, like I said, people back home didn't like me for what I carried. Yes, you told us that, said Yuichiro. What I didn't tell you is that because of the fox I was shunned, beaten, starved to death, and I had assassination attempts on my life since I was 4 or so, said Naruto. Yuichiro stopped moving and her smile disappeared. Kenpachi grinned for a second. He thought that if the boy resisted through that he was strong, thus proving a worthy opponent. Tell me, boy, Kenpachi said, how many attempts did you have? He asked, thinking they weren't that many. Naruto looked down at the ground. Better not say. It's not that bad, is it? Asked the girl, concerned. Well, if you put the fact that I had over 300 attempts, and I was hospitalized more than 400 times from beatings and such, said Naruto, trailing off. The little girl looked sad at him, while Kenpachi grinned even more if possible. The boy was indeed strong to survive through all that, though he had to admit that he sympathized the boy for what he had passed through. Anyway, said Naruto, trying to change the subject, why is there violence? Shouldn't there be like a police force or something to keep the order? Asked Naruto. Well, there is no indication that the Shinigami or any other agencies patrol the streets of Rakangai, and as a result, the citizenry are mainly responsible for their day-to-day welfare, stated Kenpachi. Okay, so tell me about Suriidai, said Naruto. Yuichiro smiled and bounced up and down. Suriidai is in the center of Soul Society, a circular shiro with 4 main entrances, each guarded by a gate guardian, the girl said. The walls are made of death stone, a material known to sap all spiritual and psychic energy when one portion is faced in a particular direction. The Death Stone also forms a spherical barrier around the city, preventing anyone from entering anywhere other than the 4 gates, explained Kenpachi while Naruto nodded and motioned for the two to continue. The majority of the residents of Suriidai, nobility and Shinigami alike, do not interact with the citizens of Rakangai. However, residents of Rakangai are allowed to apply for the Shinigami Academy, which is often the only escape from the poorest conditions of Rakangai. At the center of Suriidai are the Shrine of Penitence, a white tower, and Sokaika Hill, where executions take place, said Kenpachi. Executions? Asked Naruto. Kenpachi nodded. You don't need to know about that yet, you will learn in the academy. Alright, so how is this place ruled or something? Asked Naruto. We have Yamamoto-sama, said Yuichiro happily. He's old but he's nice. Kenpachi stepped in. Soul Society is ruled by a royal family, which is protected by a royal guard. Further down, Central 46 Chambers serves as a supreme judiciary and legislative that is second only to the royal family. The Shinigami enforce order in Soul Society as a sort of executive and military branch. All of the above, except the royal family and guard, reside in Suriidai. What is that Central 46 Chambers thing? asked Naruto. The Central 46 Chambers act as the Shinigami judiciary and are responsible for judging and sentencing Shinigami who have committed serious crimes, such as murder or treason, explained the large man. And do you have a leader or something? Asked Naruto. You know, like the Hokage where I come from. Sure we do, shouted Yuichiro happily. We have General Yamamoto. Okay, said Naruto, and he is? General Yamamoto is the one that founded the Shinigami Academy about 2,000 years ago. Yamamoto-sama was himself a teacher at this academy, and personally instructed several captains, said Kenpachi. Did you get all of it? Asked Yuichiro happily. Naruto nodded. Yeah, I think I have. He then brought his hand to his stomach, feeling strange. Kenpachi saw this and raised an eyebrow. What's wrong? He asked. I don't know, I feel empty, said Naruto. Empty? Asked Yuichiro, not understanding. Yeah, like a part of me is missing inside. He said, could it be that Kyuubi is no more? He asked. It could, said Kenpachi, but the question is, where is he then? Yes, said Naruto, looking at his stomach. Alright, let's get you to the academy, shouted Yuichiro happily as she jumped on Kenpachi's back. She motioned for Naruto to do the same, which he did, but a bit skeptical, not wanting to enrage the large man. Alright, I will lead, declared Yuichiro. Forward, Kenchan, she shouted happily. The large man dashed forward, leaving dust behind him. Wherever he passed, the air blew violently as he speeded towards the academy while Yuichiro was guiding. He somehow feared that they would get stuck on the way. Suddenly the girl told Kenpachi to turn, which he did. She told him again and he turned. She then told him to turn to the left, and when he did they reached a dead end. Naruto looked at the girl. Are you sure you know where we are going? He asked. The girl nodded. I just miscalculated. Turn back and then right, Kenchan. Alright, Yuichiro, said Kenpachi. He did as he was told, and then when he was told to take a right, and then another right, they reached another dead end. Said Naruto, looking dumbfounded. You sure? The girl put her hand under her chin to think. I think we should have taken a left back there. You think? Yelled Naruto. Yuichiro shrugged. Okay, let's go back and turn left, Kenchan. The man complied and followed her direction, even thought Naruto was trying to convince him not to listen and to take him to the academy already. After about half an hour they stood facing another dead end. Naruto was twitching violently while Yuichiro was saying something about taking a left then a right, and not right then left. Ah! Screamed Naruto. Do you know where we are? He asked. The girl nodded. Somewhere in Rakangai. Somewhere? Yelled Naruto. We're lost. The girl waved him off. I know where I'm going. Let's go, Kenchan. 2 hours later and over 100 dead ends they finally arrived at the academy. Yuichiro jumped down from Kenpachi's shoulder and started bouncing around like nothing happened while Naruto was shaking violently and saying something about little girls that don't have any sense of direction. Kenpachi took Naruto off him and put him on his feet. It was then that Yuichiro grabbed his hand and started pulling him towards the academy while Naruto was with his face on the ground hitting every rock. His face was blank. He didn't know what to do anymore. The little girl was tougher than him. She was too much for him to handle, and somehow he wanted to know how Kenpachi handled all this. After being dragged through a lot of hallways they arrived at a door. Kenpachi opened the door and walked in, followed by a happy Yuichiro who was dragging a blonde boy whose face was on the ground. The people inside sweat dropped and sympathized the boy for what he had to face at the moment. Now Yuichiro, I think you should let the boy go, said Kenpachi. Yuichiro nodded and let go of Naruto's hand that fell on the ground with a loud thud. Naruto stood there, face on the ground, not moving, and it looked like he wasn't breathing. The people inside, 3 to be exact, murmured amongst themselves if he was still alive. Then Naruto rose from the ground shakily and glared at the bubblegum girl who was bouncing happily and smiling at him. Naruto shook his head and looked around. Where am I? He asked. You are in the receiving room of the Shinigami Academy, said a voice. Here is where we see if you are suited to be a Shinigami or not. Naruto turned and saw a table with 3 people behind it. The first one had spiky black hair. He was dressed in Shinigami robes, and he had a bandana on his forehead. His eyes were black, same color as Sasuke's. I bet you guys know who he is. The one in the middle was an old-looking person. He had a captain cape with the kanji for one. His beard was long, a white long beard. He looked like someone who lived through a lot of things. The last person had spiky blonde hair, deep blue eyes, and a stupid grin on his face. He also wore Shinigami attires. Naruto narrowed his eyes when he saw the blonde man. He looked at his carefully. The man, seeing that he was being watched closely, also started to study Naruto. He seemed like a mini-him, but the only thing that wasn't mini about him were the whiskers. Shit, said the blonde man as he got up from the seat, getting raised eyebrows from everyone except Naruto, who started gaping and pointing at the man. Why you? He stammered. The blonde man started sweating. The blonde man put a scared smile and started waving his hands in front of him and apologizing. Listen, I didn't mean to. I swear I had no choice, he said. The elder in the middle looked at the blonde. Minato, why are you so scared of this boy? He asked. Well, you see, he said, rubbing the back of his head, he is Naruto twitched. You ass. He yelled, you are the tard that sealed Kyuubi and me. He yelled as he jumped on the table and grabbed the man's collar. What do you have to say in your defense? Asked Naruto angrily. So this is the boy you were talking about, Minato? Asked the elderly man. Naruto glanced at him. He now saw the man was bald. Sensei, this your son? asked the one with black hair. Naruto turned to the blonde, gaping. The man just smiled, scared. Hey son, said the man, sweating. Naruto slapped the blonde man's head and let him go, and jumped down and sat on the ground facing the three people. His act surprised everyone, especially the blonde man who was thinking he wouldn't get away that easy. Aren't you angry? Minato asked. Naruto shook his head and then nodded. I am and I am not. Why? Simply put, now I understand why you sealed Kyuubi and me. At first when I found out I blamed you, thinking you did it just because I was an orphan and let me to rot. Minato cringed at that, but now I kinda understand. Said Naruto, but tell me, why didn't anyone tell me the Yondaime was my father? He asked deadly. Minato sighed. I had a lot of enemies, Naruto. They would have done anything to kill my only son. So I had to protect you. I kept your mother's name. Thought. My mother's name? Asked Naruto, and when was I supposed to find out you were my father? When I die. Minato sat down with a sigh. No, you should have found out at the age of 15. How did you die? You shouldn't have died, said Minato with remorse. Naruto looked at the ground. Sensei killed me, he said. Your sensei? Yelled Minato, not believing. Who is your sensei? He demanded. Before I tell you, I need to tell you that it was an accident. Minato raised an eyebrow. Accident? He asked, not understanding. Naruto nodded. You see, Sensei was about to kill Momochi Zabuza, a A-ranked missing nin, when Zabuza's partner jumped in front of him to save him. I pushed his partner out of the way and got hit by Sensei's attack in the chest. Why did you save a criminal's partner? Asked the black-haired teen. Naruto blushed slightly. Well, she was precious. I am. The black-haired teen smirked and decided to tease the blonde boy. So she was your girlfriend? He asked. Naruto's face went redder. No, it's nothing like that. I just met her, but she was so nice I couldn't let her die, he said fast, and then mumbled something that everyone heard. Though I wish she would have been. They decided not to tease him in that matter anymore and resumed what they first started, or at least Minato resumed his question. Who was your sensei? Naruto sighed. Hatake Kakashi, the copycat ninja. I was killed by his signature move, the Raikiri. Naruto suddenly felt two auras flaring up, and then two people yelled outraged. He did what? I can't believe my student/ex-teammate did this. Naruto scratched the back of his head. And yeah, he then turned to the black-haired teen. And who are you? You called Kakashi-sensei ex-teammate. The teen nodded. Yes, Kakashi was my teammate and friend. My name is Uchiha Obito. Thought Naruto. What's wrong, son? The blonde man asked. Well, Obito doesn't seem like the other Uchiha, said Naruto. Obito twitched. What do you mean by that? Well, you don't have a stick up your ass like the other, especially Sasuke. Or at least only him since the massacre, responded Naruto. Ah, we heard of that massacre. Unfortunately, all of those killed went to hell for what they did, said the old man. Why is that? The Uchiha clan were plotting, boy, said Obito. They first kicked me out a day before I died, and then they were in cahoots with Orochimaru. Naruto nodded and then turned to the old man. And you are? Naruto, some respect, said Minato. He is General Yamamoto-sama, the founder of the academy and current ruler. Naruto scratched his chin and then grinned. Hey, old man. He saluted, and in a flash he was hit on the head by Yondaime. I told you some respect, son, he yelled. The old man raised a hand to stop him. It's quite alright, Minato. He didn't do any harm, and he will learn respect later during academy. Yeah, said Naruto, scratching his head. We should go down to business now, said Yamamoto. Do you wish to become Shinigami? You have a lot of Ryatsu. Ryatsu? Asked Naruto. It's the spiritual energy I have told you about, responded Kenpachi. Naruto let out a long "oh" and nodded to Yamamoto, letting him know that he wants to become a Shinigami. The old man smiled. Then you can start here on my approval. Can I ask something? Asked Naruto. Go ahead, boy, the old man said. When people in Konoha, my hometown, die, can I go and bring their souls here? There is a special person I want to see when that time comes, responded Naruto with a small blush that was caught by everyone. Yamamoto gave a smile. Of course. In fact, during the academy we have a test when you need to do a kanso on a dead spirit. Kanso is soul burial, the way to bring souls here, said Kenpachi before Naruto could ask. Naruto smiled. Alright, I'm ready then. The men smiled and Kenpachi grinned sadistically. Okay then, go down the hall to the sleeping quarters and look for room 325. Your roommates are Rukia and Abarai Rinji, said Minato, handing him a piece of paper. What's with this paper? Asked Naruto. Oh, and when will I meet Mom? That paper, you will give it to your sensei tomorrow when you start learning. The materials you need for the academy will be brought to you. I'll buy them, said Minato. As for your mother, she is hollow hunting now, so I don't know for sure. Naruto pouted. You better not forget to introduce me to her dad. Minato smiled. I won't. Naruto got up to leave but was stopped by Kenpachi, who lowered at his level to whisper in his ear. Get strong, because when you finish the academy I want to fight you. The blonde boy smirked and gave Kenpachi thumbs up and reassured him that he will do so. He bid his farewell and left the men and girl and headed towards the sleeping quarters. You got out easy, sensei, said Obito. Minato sighed. For a second I thought he would beat the crap out of me. Kenpachi laughed. I bet he could, the old man nodded. I can feel it, he has high spirit energy, and he will become a powerful Shinigami, maybe even a captain someday. That will be the day. Grinned Kenpachi. Naruto was walking down some halls, there were rooms everywhere, he was even greeted by some people that were students here. He found a library and the cantina, but he didn't find his room yet. After walking a little more he found his room, he knocked and opened the door. Once inside he saw the room was big, though it didn't have much stuff, only 3 beds, desks and a bathroom. He looked around to spot his roommates when a red-haired boy exited the bathroom. The boy looked at Naruto, actually he stared at him. Who the hell are you? He yelled pointing to Naruto. The boy was slapped on the back of his head. Don't be rude, Rinji. The boy named Rinji pouted. Rukia, I only asked him who he was. The girl shrugged and turned to Naruto. So who are you? She demanded almost in the same manner as Rinji. Hey! Yelled Rinji, you slap me for that and you ask him like me? He yelled, you two are rude. The girl twitched. Oh, shut up, Rinji. Naruto, seeing where this is going, coughed to get their attention. Well, my name is Uzumaki Naruto. I'm your new roommate, Rinji grinned. Hey Naruto, I'm Abarai Rinji. He said, shaking Naruto's hand, and this is Rukia. He said, pointing to the girl. The girl fumed. I could introduce myself, you know. She said, pouting. Rinji scratched the back of his head and shrugged. So he said, looking at Naruto, just started? He asked. Naruto nodded. Yeah, I died a few hours ago, and this guy Yamamoto said that I should become a Shinigami. Rukia's and Rinji's eyes widened. Yamamoto-sama said that? Naruto nodded. I said I'd give it a try. Rukia shook her head. Anyway, we also started, so we will be in the same classes. She told Naruto. That's great. Yelled Naruto, giving a foxy grin. The rest of the day they spent talking. Naruto told them about his home and explained about ninjas. The two were fascinated about learning all that and kept asking questions, and Naruto kept answering. That is till a girl with bubblegum hair entered. Rinji and Rukia saw the tag on her arm and saluted the girl. The little girl gave a smile and jumped on Naruto's back. Hey Spiky, you forgot something, she said happily, and pulling his hair. Naruto started screaming. Get off me, I'll let go of my hair, damn it, he yelled. Rukia and Rinji's jaws were on the floor at the sight. You forgot to say goodbye to me, she said, pouting. Naruto rubbed his head. Sorry, goodbye Yuichiro, I'll meet you when I become Shinigami, he said, smiling. Hopefully I won't be in your team, he thought while shuddering. The girl smiled and nodded. She then turned around and left, leaving 2 shocked students, and one blonde that was rubbing his head and crying over his hair. Somewhere unknown, a red spark was in void, a white void with nothing around. It was facing the great Shinigami, who was a little upset. The Shinigami wasn't like the other. It had 2 horns on the head, a knife in the mouth, dark robes, and emitted an energy of superiority and power. Kyubi, do you know what you did? Shinigami asked. The spark seemed to shake its head. All I know is that I'm dead. What the hell? He asked. It's because of you that you are dead. Instead of sleeping like a lazy ass, you should have helped the poor boy, berated the Shinigami. The spark seemed to scoff. It's not my fault he is weak, or was at least. That is exactly what I don't like of what you did, Kyubi, yelled the Shinigami. The spark seemed to shiver. What was I supposed to do? Asked Kyubi. First of all, you idiot, you should have kept your anger in place, yelled the Shinigami, making the void tremble. Not again, my fault. Those robed people were trying to imprison me in something. The only thing I saw was a leaf headband, yelled the spark. The void boomed for a second and the spark seemed to shiver even more. Kyubi, said the Shinigami sweetly. Kyubi was trembling. The most idiotic thing someone could do is yell or stand up to the Shinigami. You said you saw a leaf headband, did you at least see it had a scratch on it? The Shinigami yelled. The spark emitted energy of regret. I saw the scratch. I didn't think. I knew he was a missing nin, but rage took over me, said the Kyubi. And again I proved my point. Now second thing, you never should have gone to sleep. I put a seal that won't make you fall asleep. It's your sole fault you fell asleep. But I couldn't stand just watching a baby. I wanted to sleep only for 3 years, minimum 2, and then awaken. But something happened and I only awoke after 12 years on the bridge where I died, said the fox, emitting a more powerful aura of regret. The Shinigami waited and then spoke again. You know what the boy's destiny was? He asked. No, Shinigami-sama, said the spark. The boy was supposed to become a powerful ninja and stop the criminal organization Akatsuki and the snake man Orochimaru from gaining immortality, said the Shinigami. And now it won't happen, said Kyubi. You got that right, but said the Shinigami, pausing and gaining the spark's attention. We can't let this two gain what they seek. It would destroy the balance. What are we supposed to do? Asked Kyubi. Simple, the boy is learning to become a Shinigami now. The spark emitted energy of surprise. They accepted him into Soul Society? Yes, they have, and he will start his studies in a few hours. And you will play an important role. You will still be inside the boy, sealed, said the Shinigami. What? Yelled Kyubi. Sealed again? But isn't there another way? He asked. Kyubi, said the Shinigami. Not that kind of sealed. You will become his Zanpakuto. I will what? Asked Kyubi, not believing he will have to deal with the boy again. Yes, you will become his Zanpakuto. This is your punishment for letting him die, said the Shinigami. But still, said Kyubi, how will he be able to stop Akatsuki and Orochimaru now that he is dead? When the time comes you will know how he will fight them. He will receive a special Jugai that will allow him to use his Shinigami powers only in his dimension, said the Shinigami. Something tells me you have a mark in this special Jugai, said Kyubi. The Shinigami nodded. Yes, I do. I made it for him in case this would happen. So you knew that he might die in the future without accomplishing his mission? Asked the Kyubi, amazed. I only suspected as much, said the Shinigami. Alright, then when do I start? I want to get this over with, said the fox, impatient. You will become part of his soul now. Also you will have to share, said the Shinigami. The spark emitted energy that said that it was raising an eyebrow. Share? Asked the Kyubi. Yes, the boy already has another soul for a Zanpakuto. I had already made contact with it, and you two will learn to respect each other and help the boy, said the Shinigami. Alright, I guess I will have to meet this soul, said the Kyubi. The Shinigami nodded and strange streaks of light appeared around the spark. It's time you go, Kyubi. Remember what you have to do. In a flash of red light the spark was gone, and the Shinigami was the only one left in the white void. Kyubi opened his eyes and glanced around. He was in a forest, no longer behind a seal or bars, no longer in a sewer. But something felt familiar about this place, like he had seen it before. He couldn't put his finger on it. You must be Kyubi, said a voice that seemed to come from everywhere. Kyubi turned around. He looked everywhere between the trees. He couldn't see anyone. Who's there? Asked Kyubi. The person chuckled. I am part of the boy's soul. Shinigami told me you should arrive soon. So you are the spirit I need to share this place? Asked Kyubi, irritated. That would be me. But why are you irritated about me? I had done nothing wrong, said the voice echoing around the fox. Show yourself, or are you afraid? Asked Kyubi, growling. Now, don't start growling at me, chuckled the voice. I am not the bad person here. Are you saying that I am the bad figure here? Asked Kyubi, raising an eyebrow. I never did say such a thing. I only said that we both have a common purpose, said the voice echoing through the forest once again. Kyubi frowned. Yes, that is true. We need to help the boy as his Zanpakutos. That is right, said the figure. So like Shinigami said, we need to work together and not fight against each other. Yes, now why don't you come out? Asked Kyubi. I want to see with whom I will share this place. The voice scoffed. Well, I don't know. Maybe you will jump and attack me, said the voice teasingly. Kyubi's eyebrow twitched. Maybe I will do that if you keep doing this stuff. The voice sighed throughout the forest. Very well, said the voice. Kyubi heard something moving behind him. He turned around and saw someone coming out of the bushes. Kyubi's eyes widened when he saw who it was. It can't be impossible, said the fox. The person in front of Kyubi smiled at him. It wasn't an evil smile. It was a kind and generous one. With Naruto. Naruto was now in one of the classrooms of the academy. Rukia was behind him a few rows to the left, while Rinji was in front of him a few rows to the left of Naruto. The blonde boy was situated in the 5th row. The class had a total of 10 rows. Each row had 20 seats of the left and 20 on the right. In the middle was an opening through where the teacher could walk, or the students. The space between rows was fairly big, so movement was easy. Naruto looked around. The teacher or teachers didn't arrive yet. Students were talking between each other. There were girls and boys in the classroom. Most of them seemed to have seated amongst their friends, maybe because they had time and arrived before everyone else. Naruto, Rukia and Rinji weren't that lucky to find seats next to each other, but they couldn't complain. As long as they will be in the same year and study together, it would be alright. Naruto spent yesterday after Yuichiro left learning about his new roommates. He found out that they were born in Rukongai, in one of the lower districts where all children were treated like trash and adults hated them and wouldn't give them anything. He found out that they needed to steal and help each other just to survive. He couldn't help but feel sorry for what they had to go through. Naruto felt like they were somewhat like him. He was born with his fate sealed, never to be loved by the people of Konoha, always shunned and hunted for the burden he didn't carry. Naruto spent his childhood the way no one should spend it. His childhood was much worse than Rukia and Rinji's. Naruto was targeted for assassinations. People hired ninjas to kill him. They gave him rotten or poisoned food to eat. Even the water and milk, they tried to poison it, though they managed to sell his expired milk every time, making the blonde boy spend hours in the bathroom. Things were never going to go in the right direction, it seemed to him. Every day he was beaten and tortured. He was even hurt in the hospital, and the medics would say it was his own fault. It was an accident. For the people of Konoha, Naruto was only a demon, a thing that should never have been born, a creature created by the devil himself to spread his evil on the land. They never stopped to look at him for who he was. Only a few did, and when they did, they saw they had always been wrong when they saw the boy as a monster. Naruto remembered how he threw his pain away, how he cried his heart out. When he was little, he heard a certain song that caught his ears. The song was locked in his memory, and he would always sing it in solitude after he was beaten, after he just escaped an assassination attempt. It was his way to let things go without showing people he was affected by his treatment. Naruto had a dream to become the Hokage of Konoha, a dream that he now realized it would never had happened. He realized the song he always sang sounded like it was made for him, like the people who sang it knew through what he was going through. He couldn't help but smile, thinking that there were more people thinking about him. It always brought a smile to his face. The talking suddenly stopped, and Naruto looked at the door. The door opened and revealed a tall man with white hair just like the snow and 3 brown markings, one on each cheek heading towards his eyes and one on his chin pointing towards his nose. He had light brown eyes and a serious figure. He wore the Shinigami attire. Nidame from Konoha. Behind that man came none other than Yandane. Naruto rolled his eyes when he saw him and mentally chuckled when he saw that goofy grin on his face. Behind the Yandame was Obito, followed by a man with short blonde hair that seemed messy. He, unlike the other, wore the captain attire. On the back of his cape was the kanji for 12. They all sat at the table. From left to right they were the man white snow white hair, then Yandane, followed by Obito, and lastly the captain with blonde hair. They inspected the room. For a second Yandame seemed serious, and then when he spotted Naruto he gave him a goofy smile, making the blonde boy to sweat drop. The man with snow white hair stood up. "Welcome to the first year of Shinigami Academy," he said, smiling. "From right to left you will learn with each one of us," he said again. "Starting from the right you will learn with Captain Kasuke Urahara." The blonde man stood up and smiled. "My name is Kasuke Urahara. I am the captain of 12th Division," he said. "In the first year you will learn from me history about the Shinigami, what a Shinigami is and what they do, hollow history." He paused. "Also in the first year you will learn minor Kido, and you will learn how to create your Zanpakuto." Kasuke took his seat again, and Obito stood up. "Hey guys," he said, "my name is Uchiha Obito. You will study with me in the second year. I will teach you minor Kido, basics and such. I will teach you to fight with a Zanpakuto, and I will teach you how to do the Kanso." Obito sat down and Minato got on his feet. He gave the class a goofy smile, making everyone sweat drop and think if this guy is serious or not. "Hey, I'm Namikaze Minato," he introduced himself. "You will study in the third year with me. I will teach you advanced Kido, and you will learn improved hand-to-hand fighting or Zanpakuto fighting." Minato sat down and the man with snow white hair sat up. "My name is Fubuki Yushi, 1. he said, introducing himself. "You all learn with me in the fourth year. I will go over history, Kido and Zanpakuto training again." Someone raised their hand then. Yushi looked at him and nodded. The boy spoke. "Why is that you will teach us what we had already learned?" "That is a good question," said Yushi. "You see, at the end of every year you will receive a test so we can see if you can pass in the next year. Fail and you will do the same year again till you pass." Everyone in the room started talking between each other. Naruto silently prayed that he won't fail 3 times in a row like what happened in Konoha. Then again he remembered that back in Konoha all academy teachers except Iruka hated him, and they did everything they could to make him fail so that the demon will not receive shinobi protection from them. Now, in the last year it will be mostly tests, said Yushi, making every student starting to talk amongst each other even more. The white-haired man raised a hand and the talk stopped. He then started talking again. "Now in the first year the final test is a written one. Second year we have a Kanso and Zanpakuto fighting test. Third year we have Kanso and Hollow slaying test, which of course the Hollows will be machines. Last year's we have field test. You will have to kill a real Hollow. How the last year test will work you will find out them," said Yushi. "Now if you have questions, now is the time to ask." He said, "If you want to stop going in the academy, now is the time to say." Naruto sneered when he heard that. No way would he stand down from becoming a Shinigami. A student raised his hand. "When exactly will we get our Zanpakuto?" he asked. Kasuke spoke. "You will get the Zanpakuto a week or 2 after we begin, and I give you a little history." Another student raised her hand. "How many Kido techniques will we learn?" she asked. "When is that? First year, second, third, or all 3? asked Kasuke. "First year, sir," she responded. "In the first year you will learn 2 which are common knowledge to everyone," responded Kasuke. "And what about the other years?" asked another student. "Second year you will learn 2 more," said Obito. "Third year you will learn almost all of them," said Minato, grinning. "Last year you will learn what you didn't get to learn in the other 3. If you did learn everything you will be put to training using them," said Yushi. "Any more questions?" he asked. They looked around the room and no one else seemed to raise their hands. They looked between each other and nodded. Kasuke stood up. "Alright, I want you to bring your papers up front so we can see that you indeed passed the entrance exam," said Kasuke. One by one, the students left their seats and went to give their respective papers to the teacher. Naruto was a little afraid now. He didn't know if the paper the old man gave him was for him to enter the first year or not. He looked at Renji and saw that he was bored and falling asleep, a small drool from the corner of his mouth. He turned to look at Rukia. She was inspecting the people in the room. Naruto looked back at the teachers' tables. He could see them talking between each other as they inspected the papers. He could see smiles and some frowns from time to time. Must be the results from the said tests. Then Naruto looked at his stomach. He suddenly felt full, like the part that was missing him had reappeared. He scowled, thinking that he had to do with Kyubi again. The first time he met Kyubi was right after the Mizuki incident. When he had fallen asleep that night, he awoke to find himself in front of the fox's cage. To say the fox was rude was understanding. The fox continued to ramble about weak containers and stupid flesh bags and that he would eat him if he were to get out. In a way, the fox was right. He was weak if he had died. But then again, things like death cannot be helped. It is something that everyone goes through, like it or not. Naruto saw that the one near him got up and walked to the table. He saw him returning, so he stood up as well and walked down towards the teacher's table. The teachers looked at him in different ways. Kasuke was studying the boy by the way he moves, Obito seemed to study his spirit, and Minato seemed to study him as a person, while Yushi studied him through the eyes. He saw the man give a slight shiver as he looked in Naruto's eyes. Naruto now stood in front of Kasuke. He handed him the paper the old man gave him. Kasuke saw it wasn't the result from the tests, it was something else. His eyes widened when he read the numbers and he turned to Obito. He handed the teen the paper. Obito read it carefully, his eyes widening, same as with the other two teachers. Naruto was wondering what was on the paper since he didn't have the curiosity to open it. The paper reached back to Kasuke, who coughed. "Uzumaki Naruto, right?" he asked kindly. "Yes," responded Naruto. By now everyone was talking amongst themselves about the new boy. He made the teacher's eyes widen with his results, and he was staying in front of the teachers more than any other student stood. "Naruto, you didn't take the test, right?" asked Kasuke silently so that the students won't hear. Naruto nodded. "Yes, the old man gave me the paper and told me to hand it to the teacher today." "Naruto, what did I tell you to respect him?" yelled Yondaime. Naruto turned to him and gave one of his coldest glares. "If I were you, I wouldn't say anything. I still didn't forgive you completely for what you did," he said. The tone in his voice was so cold that it made everyone in the room cringe and some to wonder what the teacher had done to the boy for him to be so pissed off. Kasuke coughed again. "Well, yes, I have to say I am impressed with what is written here," said Kasuke. Naruto raised an eyebrow. "And that is?" he asked. Now it was Kasuke's turn to raise an eyebrow. "You mean that you didn't look on the paper?" Naruto shook his head and Kasuke nodded. "It seems you have a high amount of Ryatsu, but unstable. It can surpass a captain's if you train enough," explained Kasuke. "Also, it seems you have a missing part in your soul." "You mean Kyuubi?" asked Naruto. "Who is that?" asked Kasuke. "That was the spirit of a fox that Dad sealed into me," he said, glaring at Minato but low so that no one except the teachers would hear. Minato started sweating. "What?" "I said I was sorry." Naruto rolled his eyes. "Whatever. Shit, I'm starting to sound like Sasuke." "Well, anyway, it might be that the spirit of the fox became part of your soul, and since it is missing you will always have problems," said Kasuke. "Tell me, did you feel empty by any change?" he asked. Naruto nodded. "Yes, I felt empty yesterday, but now I feel full, like the missing part is back in its place," responded Naruto. Kasuke nodded and put the paper somewhere safe like with the rest. "You can go back to your seat. Welcome to the first year," he said, smiling. Naruto gave his own smile and walked back to his seat, receiving confused stares from the students, even Rinji and Rukia. Back at the teacher's table, the teachers were talking amongst themselves. "So that is your son Minato," said Yushi. Minato sighed and nodded. "Yes, and as you can see, he is pissed off on me. Frankly, I would too if someone did that to me," said Yushi. "Like you would know anything since you didn't have to face Kyuubi," exclaimed Minato, making the students look at him. "No, I did not have to face such a creature, but I faced other things," Minato sneered. "Like paperwork?" he asked. "Been there, done that," Yushi shrugged. "Everyone has a bad moment. Yours had to come when you became Hokage and your son was born. If I were you, sensei, I would be happy that he didn't beat you now," said Obito. "I agree with him. He looked like he would jump and break a few bones," said Kasuke. Minato sighed. "Third year will be impossible for me," he said as he stood up. He was followed by Obito and Yushi. The three walked out of the room and closed the door behind them. The only teacher left was Kasuke. He leaned on the chair and moved his hand in the air. "You guys have 5 minutes break before we start the class," he said, bored. "What?" yelled half of the students. "Already? A Shinigami never wastes time. That means a student must never waste time," he explained. During the 5-minute break, Kasuke examined Naruto. The blonde boy put his head on the table and looked in front of him with no target, like he was trying to examine beyond the class's wall. He could see the pain the boy had to face through his eyes, and it made him cringe. It seemed that the boy's eyes were a gateway to his soul, to his past. They held a story that could be written and spoken of for years. People would tell his story again and again. The pain one boy had to face for 12 years. The boy that had to face hardship every time he walked the street. Kasuke had to admit that even here in Rukongai would have been a little better for Naruto. At least the kids would have helped even him as they help each other. 5 minutes later, everyone was seated and were looking at the teacher. Kasuke took out a book and opened it at the 5th page. "Alright class, open your books at Shinigami History page 5. He told the class. The students complied and grabbed their books. They opened them at the respective pages and waited for the teacher to continue. "Alright," said Kasuke. "As you all know, Shinigami are departed human souls that have gained supernatural powers. As such, their bodies are composed of ectoplasm and they can only be seen by other spiritually aware entities, which exclude most humans. Also, you should know that sometimes there are people with high spiritual energy that can see you. It is best that if that happens, their memory about the Shinigami to be wiped, as we don't want people to know about us and what we do," said Kasuke. "Why so, sensei?" asked the student. "Simply put, they will start looking for us then. They will become part of the trouble and will attract hollows. Also, if they might do things that would endanger not only themselves but the ones around them," explained Kasuke. "How do we wipe memories?" asked Naruto. "A good question," Said Kisuke. We have special gadgets that once placed on the ground and activated will erase everyone's memories except for the Shinigami. Now back to where we were. Said Kisuke. Shinigami, as well as most other types of spirits, are quite capable of influencing their environment. They can be injured and die like regular humans, though it takes considerably greater injuries for the latter to occur than it would in regular humans. Like what? Asked the student. Let me give you 2 examples. Example 1. You are fighting a hollow and it calls upon more hollows. Soon you are overwhelmed and there is no way out. You fight as much as you can, but in the end they inflict fatal injuries on you and you die. Said Kisuke. The second example. You are fighting another person, a Ryoka. What is a Ryoka? Asked the student. Ryoka are souls that have illegally entered Siriidai. A person from Rakangai entering Siriidai without permission would be considered a Ryoka. Said Kisuke. Correct me if I am wrong. Now, the most prominent supernatural power possessed by a Shinigami is their Zanpakuto, a supernatural sword generated from the Shinigami's soul. He said. I think most of you already knew that. Stated Kisuke, getting nods from some students. Shinigami also naturally give off spiritual energy, which varies greatly in magnitude with the strength of a Shinigami. A Zanpakuto is a physical manifestation of this force concentrated into a blade. It is a crime for a Shinigami to remain in the human world longer than a certain time limit. A Shinigami's duties include leading pluses, ghosts, to Soul Society in a practice called Soul Burial, which you will learn in the 2nd year, and the cleansing of hollows. Shinigami are also responsible for governing the flow of spirits between the human world and Soul Society. Said Kisuke. The rest of the day Naruto listened to the history of the Shinigami, how the first one appeared when the world was created, how the first hollow appeared at the same time to create the balance between Shinigami and hollows. After that, when people died, the soul Shinigami would send them to a plane called Heaven in the past, while the hollow would devour and create more. Naruto found out that in the beginning Soul Society and Rakangai didn't exist. Where the current 2 are now, there used to be a grassy field with trees and such, and in time people, the souls that didn't become Shinigami, started building themselves houses. After this, the king, who no one knows anymore who he is but is suspected to be the first ever Shinigami, ordered the rest of the Shinigami to start building Siriidai, and he created the first 2 or 3 divisions. Original or not? To Naruto this kind of history seemed interesting. He couldn't help but listen to everything with amazement, and want for more information, while Renji would fall asleep or at least try to, since the girl next to him would shook him out of his stupor. Overall, Naruto liked what he was learning and couldn't wait to learn more. Few hours later, Naruto was standing in an open field with the rest of the class. Their teacher was in front of them. After about 5 or 6 hours of history, they were brought out to learn one Kido and its basic. What it does and when it should be used. Alright. Said Kisuke. As you all know, Kido are a type of sorcery used by us Shinigami. They can be used for various purposes, such as healing, attacking, and restraining. Demon art spells are divided into 2 major groups: blast spells, which are destructive spells, used for direct attack, and binding spells, which are spells that restrain someone or have other effects. These forms of demon art spells are performed by calling out a complicated and often long-winded incantation followed by the name of the spell, which causes an effect once the name has been recited. Lesser versions of the spells can be used by calling out the name alone, but their effectiveness is reduced when used in such a fashion, explained the teacher. Now I want someone that is willing to be my guinea pig. He said, laughing at the student's reaction. Do not worry, I will only use the restraining Kido, the first one and most easy. Then I guess I will do it, said Naruto. Everyone looked at Naruto like he was crazy, and someone even voiced it. Are you crazy? Asked Renji. The best way to learn from me if he uses it on me. Besides, it's the restraining Kido, he said as he walked up to Kisuke. Kisuke smiled at him. Alright, turn around, Naruto, he said, and the boy complied. This won't hurt. Naruto shrugged. If you say so, said Naruto. Bakuda number 1, first restraint obstruction, said Kisuke, pointing to Naruto. The blonde boy fell on the ground on his knees. His arms were brought behind him, and they were restrained with a strange case. His legs were also restrained like his hands. Naruto growled. Man, you could have told me I will fall down. Kisuke shrugged. Anyway, this is the most basic Kido you should all know. You guys will work at first with poles to try and restrain them, he said, pointing to some posts that looked like humans, meaning that they had legs, arms, and a head. Kisuke released Naruto. Thank you for offering. Naruto grinned. It's alright, the best way to learn, right? Kisuke grinned and gave the boy a nod. For the next 2 hours, the students grouped in 10 teams, each having 10 students practice the first Kido. Some got the hang of it fast while others didn't. Naruto managed to restrain his target after a lot of hard work, but the restraints were weaks. For him it was a good start, so he didn't admit it too much. After the open practice, the group was done with the academy for the day. Everyone had returned to their rooms. But as Naruto, Renji, and Rukia were walking towards their room, they ran into a group of 3-year-old, in terms of what years of studies they were in, picking on a girl from the 2nd year of the academy. She had black hair, matching black eyes and glasses. The 3 bullies were pushing her around and throwing her books around each other while laughing. Rukia gritted her teeth as she wanted to beat the crap out of them. She couldn't stand people like those. But she was beaten to that as Naruto walked forward towards them. Hey, said Naruto. The bullies turned to him and inspected Naruto. They started laughing. What do you want first year? Leave her alone, said Naruto, gritting his teeth. And what if we don't? Asked one of them. Yeah, what would a first year do to us? Asked another one, laughing. Naruto gritted his teeth more and started glaring at them. Unknown to him, he was releasing killing intent, so powerful that everyone around him, including the bullies, dropped on their knees, breathing hard. They looked at Naruto, and in his eyes, the blonde's eyes seemed to penetrate their soul. They got up slowly and started running away. Naruto stopped glaring and the killing intent lifted. Rukia and Renji got back on their feet and were in awe at their roommates' killing intent power. Unknown to them, a spiky-haired man, massive in stature with the captain's cape, grinned sadistically as he liked the way things evolved with the boy. He is always after a fight. Naruto walked to the girl and offered her a hand. She took his hand and got back on her feet. She was taller than Naruto, but not with much. She smiled at him. Thank you for your help, she said. Such power in his killing intent, amazing. She thought in awe. No problem, said Naruto, picking her books. I'm glad I could help, he said, handing her books. She took her books and smiled at him. My name is Ic Nanao, Uzumaki Naruto, the blonde boy said, shaking her hand. He motioned to his roommates to introduce themselves. They are my friends and roommates, said Naruto. Hi, I'm Rukia, the girl said. Abarai Renji, the red-haired said. You guys are first year? Nanao asked. Naruto nodded. Yeah, we just started. Nanao smiled at them. Well, good luck in your year, she said. They thanked her and wished her luck as well and left towards their room, this time with no more interruptions from anything or anyone. In Konoha, Team 7, or at least what was left of it, Haku and Zabuza were standing in front of the Hokage, who was shaking his head. He had just heard the news and it couldn't be more painful for him. Once people find out that Naruto is dead, they will start parties, which would just make things even worse for him. Kakashi was silently mourning the boy and begging for forgiveness from his sensei and fallen teammate for failing again. He couldn't take the pain. It was even worse because it was he that killed the boy. When the council will find out, they will award him, but he knew he didn't deserve such a thing. He knew that he would never want such a thing. Haku was crying openly when she told the Hokage what had happened again. Zabuza was trying to comfort her. His hand was on her shoulder. He didn't quite know how to comfort someone. He was more of the killing type, not the comforting type. Even he seemed to be influenced by the loss. Even though he didn't know the boy that much, he couldn't help but feel that the boy shouldn't have died. He felt sad for the first time in years. Sasuke was incredible, or not. He was a little sad that the dobe had died. But he knew that the dobe had it coming. He shouldn't have become a ninja. He was good as long as it lasted, and the dobe also had to know that he didn't have to give his life to save the enemy, even though said enemy was someone precious to him. Yes, he felt sad. He was a friend and a teammate, but his stupidity brought him death. Don't flame me for him. This is how I imagined Sasuke would act. Sakura, she was glancing at Sasuke and blushing. Impossible, some might say, but it was true. Her mourning for Naruto lasted one day, and after that she returned to her Sasuke stalking. Even Sasuke was more of a great person, and he mourned Naruto's death, all the way back home and all the way to the Hokage Tower. Sakura just seemed to be too stupid to do anything, to care about a fallen teammate. After all, he was just an annoying boy that always asked her out on dates. He was just annoying to her, a scum like her mother had told her. Kakashi, said the elderly Hokage. Yes, Hokage-sama? Asked Kakashi slowly. Where is the boy's grave? Where is his body? You didn't tell me, the Hokage said with his head down. We buried him in Wave Country. He is a hero there. I knew that people would vandalize his grave here, so we buried him there, said Kakashi. The Hokage let a small smile. That is good to hear. It is good that at least he died with the respect of someone. But Saab, he shouldn't have. Saab died, said Haku, sobbing. The Hokage nodded sadly. I know what you mean, Haku. But this is fate. Maybe his time had come. Maybe it was written for him to die protecting his precious person. The Hokage's words just seemed to make Haku cry more powerful. Kakashi, I want you to add Naruto's name on the memorial stone, said the Hokage. You have my permission. Kakashi nodded. I will do it. Also his name Uzumaki Namikaze Naruto, said the Hokage, looking at Yandame's picture. Namikaze? Asked Kakashi. That is Naruto's real name. He was the last of the Namikaze and Uzumaki clan. Both clans are extinct and their secrets dead forever, said the Hokage, letting a tear drop for the boy and not for what he was. Kakashi nodded. I will do it. He turned to leave when Sakura piped in. But why should Naruto his name written there? She asked. Because he was a hero, said Kakashi with a sad voice. A hero? Asked Sakura. He was a hero in Wave. Kakashi gritted his teeth. He was in the Wave, but he is also Konoha's hero, for he looked at the Hokage, who nodded. He was the Kyuubi no Kitsune container. He is a hero for keeping the fox at bay for 12 years. Everyone's except Kakashi's and Sandame's eyes widened. But I thought Yandame killed Kyuubi, said Sasuke. Kakashi shook his head. No mortal can do such a thing, so he had to do the next best thing. Seal it away, in a newborn baby. So said Sakura. When my mom told me he is evil, she was right? She asked. Kakashi spun around and glared at her. Your mom is like almost all of Konoha's citizens, a bunch of idiots and asses. Sakura and Sasuke were taken back from the outburst. But Kakashi-sensei, said Sakura. Kakashi appeared in front of Sakura and glared at her. You have no right to judge him like a demon. If you think like your mother and the rest of Konoha, you are a scum and a piece of trash. You are a stupid fangirl, weak and pathetic. You became a shinobi just to gain Sasuke's attention. If there was someone else on this team, Naruto would never have died, he said with a cold voice. Sasuke snickered and got the attention of Kakashi, who grabbed him by the collar. And you are a worthless avenger. Do you think you can defeat Itachi? He asked, making Sasuke's eyes widen. When you grow strong, Itachi also grows strong. It is a rule of nature. You and your stupid I work alone, said Kakashi, spitting. You are as pathetic as your fangirl and as stupid as her, he said, dropping Sasuke on the ground. Kakashi walked to the door but stopped in front of it. Before I forget, welcome to Konoha, Zabuza and Haku, said Kakashi, his anger gone but the sad voice still there. Haku, since it was Naruto's wish for you to survive. He turned to her and Haku looked at him. I will make sure his wish stays alive. I will make sure nothing ever happens to you. Like Naruto, I will protect you, he said, making the girl cry again for the boy she lost. Kakashi turned around and disappeared in a puff of smoke. He reappeared in front of the memorial stone. He took out a kunai and kneeled in front of it. Silently he started singing the song Naruto used to sing. Kakashi had always watched the boy and he heard him sing it. Now he was singing it for him. Conquest to the lover, and your love to the fire, permanence unfolding in the absolute. Forgiveness is the ultimate sacrifice. Eloquence belongs to the conqueror. Kakashi let a tear drop as the kunai touched the memorial stone. The pictures of time and space are rearranged in this little piece of typical tragedy. Justified candy, brandy for the nerves. Eloquence belongs to the conqueror. He started writing the name Uzumaki on the memorial stone. You and me will all go down in history, with a sad Statue of Liberty, and a generation that didn't agree. You and me will all go down in history, with a sad Statue of Liberty, and a generation that didn't agree. I forgot to let you know that. Justified candy, brandy for the nerves. Eloquence belongs to the conqueror. Kakashi started crying as he wrote down the name Namikaze on the memorial stone. Conquest to the lover, and your love to the fire, permanence unfolding in the absolute. Forgiveness is the ultimate sacrifice. Eloquence belongs to the conqueror. You and me will all go down in history, with a sad Statue of Liberty, and a generation that didn't agree. He finished writing the name Naruto and dropped the kunai. His head lowered and started crying more powerful. If the heavens were crying with him, the sky darkened and rain started pouring from the sky. You and me will all go down in history, with a sad Statue of Liberty, and a generation that didn't agree. Generation. What is in us that turns a deaf ear to the cries of human suffering? Suffering now. You and me will all go down in history, with a sad Statue of Liberty, and a generation that didn't agree. You and me will all go down in history, with a sad Statue of Liberty, and a generation that didn't agree. Generation, sad statue. By system of a down. Kakashi put his hands on his head and started shaking his head. His cries intensified as he started singing again more and more painfully. It is because he had just seen and he had just remembered who else had the name Namikaze. He looked at the memorial stone. Namikaze Minato, Yandame Hokage, it read. Kakashi yelled to the heaven. He let his head drop again. He started singing a song he sang when Obito died. Now he was singing it for Naruto. Dead men lying on the bottom of the grave wondering when Savior comes. Is he gonna be saved? Maybe you're a sinner into your alternate life. Maybe you're a joker. Maybe you deserve to die. Kakashi started crying again. He took the kunai in his hand and painfully he started marking the date Naruto died. They were crying when their sons left. God is wearing black's gone so far to find no hope, he's never coming back. They were crying when their sons left. All young men must go come so far to find the truth's never going home. Kakashi remembered Obito's face under the boulder years ago. Young men standing on the top of their own graves wondering when Jesus comes. Are they gonna be saved? Cruelty to the winner. Bishop tells the king his lies. Maybe you're a mourner. Maybe you deserve to die. He remembered his teammate's face, Rin's face, when she saw Obito crushed under the stone. They were crying when their sons left. God is wearing black's gone so far to find no hope, he's never coming back. They were crying when their sons left. All young men must go come so far to find no truth's never going home. He remembered Haku's face when she trying to wake up Naruto, to not let him die. Welcome to the soldier side where there is no one here but me. People all grow up to die. There is no one here but me. Welcome to the soldier side. There is no one here but me. People on the soldier side. There is no one here but me. Soldier side. By system of a down. Kakashi stopped singing. His lungs were hurting. Crying while singing didn't do him good. He dropped the kunai on the ground once again and looked at the sky, towards the heavens. Forgive me, sensei, he said. I killed your son, he said more and more painfully. He dropped face on the ground. I killed Naruto, he said, crying himself to sleep in front of the memorial stone. 2 months have passed since Naruto started the academy to become a Shinigami. Nothing much had happened in those months. All they did was study the history of Tsurugi and Rakugan and about the Shinigami. They didn't start learning more things about hollows at the moments, but that wasn't really important for Naruto. During class he paid attention. It was amazing that he, Uzumaki Naruto, the boy that always fell asleep during the ninja academy, was now paying attention. Naruto would have given anything to show his old classmates that he can be serious when he needs to. He also proved that Naruto somehow managed to get on top of the class with his current grades. He wasn't a bookworm. no matter how much people would have said it. He stocked everything in his mind during classes and then only read them once before going to sleep. His relation with Rukia and Renji boosted. They became good friends and shared most of their secrets with each other. Naruto had told them about his life in Konoha, but he didn't tell them why he was hated. As much as they asked, Naruto didn't want them to know yet. He didn't want to lose friends because of something he had carried. His friends' reactions were very interesting to Naruto. He didn't know that Rukia could cry. It was something he never knew. During the academy, she never did show negative emotions such as sadness or anything like that. Renji's reaction was quite interesting, more interesting than Rukia's. The red-haired boy started cursing the villagers of Konoha and then the adults of the district in which he lived. Naruto had met Nanao again after the incident with the bullies, but it wasn't something too important. Naruto didn't get to know the girl too much, but from looking at her, Naruto deducted that she was more of a bookworm but a kind person nonetheless. Every time they met, they exchanged a few words and then parted. He spent most of his time with Renji or Rukia, depending on who wanted to hang out with him during break. Renji seemed to move and tried to make some new friends from the class during the breaks. He managed to befriend with a blonde boy. The boy's name was Kirezuru. Naruto didn't meet the said boy yet, not in person. He saw him during classes, but except for that, nothing, and he never talked to him. Rukia also made a couple of friends amongst the girls. More than Renji, that's for sure, but again, Naruto didn't meet her friends. It was either because he wasn't that interested to meet new people or because he was never introduced. It seemed that every time Renji went to spend time with his new friend, he would forget about Naruto. But Rukia didn't. She would ask Naruto if he wanted to go with her, but Naruto would decline. Not even he knew why. During lunchtimes, Naruto would sometimes eat alone or with Rukia and Renji. It depended on how the two wanted to spend their lunch period. Naruto didn't complain. He enjoyed the solitude and silence. It gave him a lot to think of and cleared his mind. He felt relaxed. Here Naruto felt good. There was no one to try and kill him or anything. He could walk down the academy's corridors without a worry in the world. He liked it. It was something he never got to do in Konoha. Back there, he always had to be on alert so as not to be caught with his guard down and beaten. His relationship with his father improved, a little, but it did. He got to meet his mother, and he was grateful to that. The woman had short red hair and looked like a tomboy. But she was sweet and caring, and she had quite the power. Naruto remembered when he met her and Minato told her that the blonde boy is their son. She hugged him so fierce it almost killed Naruto. Naruto got to learn about his mother when she would visit him in the academy. He found out she was originally from the Whirlpool country. She told him how she met his father and such, and also told him the way she died. It seemed that after Minato left with Naruto from the hospital room, the medic who was looking over her left the room for a few seconds, and it was enough for Minato's enemies to enter the room and kill her while she was weakened. Naruto felt angry when he heard how she died. Taking advantage over a sick woman was low. No one would go that low, only cowards. Naruto swore that if he was to meet the ones responsible for his mother's death, he would kill them. Kushina, his mother's name, explained to Naruto more about Shinigami and the divisions. He found out that Minato was in the 1st division and she was in the 10th division. Naruto learned one more Kido, the last one he would learn during the first year. Unlike the other Kido, this one was a destructive Kido used for fighting. Naruto took a liking in using it. He managed to master it in just a few days. The binding Kido took him an entire month to master, but in the end he got it right. Now, Naruto is an exceptional student. For the first time he was an example for other students. But this didn't stop Naruto from pranking. The only thing he hated was that every time he did a prank, everyone blamed Minato, saying that he did it. Naruto didn't understand why people would blame his father for what he did. In fact, they never did say anything about Naruto. They said that Minato did the prank, that he didn't get it out of his system yet. The blonde man swore to find out who did it, who framed him. So now Naruto was all tied up and being dragged to his classroom where his sensei Kisuke is. He used his lunch break to pull another prank. He found it funny. There was a guy that kept saying he is beautiful and said about other people that they are ugly. Naruto covered him in tar and feathers, but unfortunately Minato witnessed it, and he captured his son red-handed. After tying the boy up, he started dragging him back to his class, telling him stuff about pulling pranks being wrong, and that framing their fathers was even worse. As Minato opened the door, he found Kisuke leaning on his chair asleep. Or so it seemed. The man opened his eyes and looked at Yandere. He saw that the blonde man was carrying his son that was all tied up. Minato pushed Naruto in front of his sensei, and he took a position behind Naruto. He folded his arms and glared at Naruto. Kisuke just scratched his head, not understanding what was happening in front of him. Minato tapped his foot, and Naruto sighed. What's happening?" asked Kisuke. "My son over here is to blame for all the pranks," said Minato. Kisuke raised an eyebrow. "For your pranks?" he asked. "It's no use to blame your son, we know you did them." Yandere gaped before he shook his head. "No, I just saw him tarring Ayasegawa Yumichika of the 11th Division." "And how am I sure that is true?" asked Kisuke. Just then, luckily for Yandere, Yuichiro, Kenpachi and Yumichika entered the room. Kisuke chuckled when he was how Yumichika looked. Naruto burst into laughter and started rolling on the floor. Yuichiro also started giggling. "See, I told you that you look good," said Yuichiro to Yumichika, who fumed. "That is not true, my beautiful face is now full of feathers." he said. Kenpachi shrugged. It says something. Yumachika spotted Naruto and pointed at him. He said you are the one that did this to me. Yandame grinned and turned to Kisuke. See? I told you. Kisuke looked at Yandame and then at Naruto and back at Yandame. Like father, like son. Yandame opened his mouth to speak. He didn't find anything to say and closed his mouth. He looked at Naruto, who was grinning, and shook his head. He gave him thumbs up and grinned. Good job. He said, just like your old dad. Naruto's grin widened. I knew you would see it my way. Minato nodded. Yes, but he looked serious. You will still be punished for this, and as punishment he stopped. What should he do to Naruto? He didn't know. He had absolutely no idea. He ignored the cries of Yumachika to tar Naruto as well. Kisuke coughed. I might have a punishment for him. Like what? Asked Minato, raising an eyebrow. I have a letter I want to reach Kamamura Sajin, captain of the 7th Division, said Kisuke, taking out a letter from his cape. Minato nodded and untied Naruto. All right, you will take the letter and then come back to class. Do I have to? Whined Naruto. Yes, or else I will tell your mother, said Minato. And what will she do to me? He asked. Minato shuddered. You don't want to know what she does when she is angry. Naruto saw his father shuddering and grabbed the letter from Kisuke's hands. All right, I'll do it, just don't tell her. All right, follow me, said Minato, walking towards the door. Naruto was walking behind his father, ignoring the tarred man that was screaming about his lost beauty. He could hear Yuichiro saying that Naruto should have used more feathers, thus making him look more bird-like and more pretty, or at least to her. Now Naruto was following his father through a series of labyrinths. They were the streets of Suriidai. The blonde boy didn't understand why they couldn't just jump on a building and start running towards their destination. Unknown to him, the same thought passed Minato's head. He didn't know why he was walking. He knew his son can follow, so why was he walking? Suddenly Minato jumped on a building. Naruto blinked before he followed suit. Now they were running on top of the buildings. Naruto was grateful that his speed stayed the same, but he didn't understand how he could jump high distances. They haven't been taught how to use their Ryatsu yet. He shrugged and continued to follow the blonde man. A few minutes later they reached a huge compound. On its entrance was the kanji for 7. Minato pushed Naruto and told him to go and find the captain and give him the letter. Naruto nodded and walked past the guards that didn't say anything. Naruto walked through long corridors and looked for the right door. He figured that the door to the captain's room should be marked or something. And he was right. After walking for a few minutes he arrived in front of a large door, Japanese style. On top of the door was written 7th Division's captain. Naruto knocked and heard someone telling him to open the door. He slid it to the left and looked inside the room. There were various weapons around the room, a desk and a chair. There was a carpet on the floor and the captain was standing on it, or more like sitting. The captain was massive, almost like Kenpachi. He wore the Shinigami attire and a captain's cape with the kanji for 7 on its back. What was strange was that the man wore some sort of helmet that covered his face. Naruto bowed as he was learned to do in the academy and introduced himself. Uzumaki Naruto, first-year student at the academy. Kisuke-sensei sent me to give you a letter, sir. The man nodded. Come here, boy, he said. Naruto nodded and walked inside the room. He closed the door and walked towards the captain. He handed him the letter and the man took it. He opened it and read it and then got on his feet. He walked to his desk and placed it there, and then turned to Naruto. Is that all? He asked. Naruto nodded. Yes, I was only sent to deliver the message. The captain nodded. Very well, you may go then. Naruto was about to leave when he felt that the man was somehow familiar. Naruto felt like the man was somehow related to a fox. He studied the man. His body was human, and the only thing he didn't know was what was under his helmet. The captain saw Naruto was studying him, and raised an eyebrow under his helmet. What's wrong? He asked. Naruto shook his head. Nothing, it just feels like I know you. Now the captain was interested. Know me? He asked, intrigued. Yes, said Naruto. You see, when I was little I had a demon fox sealed inside of me, and one day the fox enhanced my senses so I can survive. And I think my senses are still enhanced because you have a faint smell of fox. The man's mouth was open and his eyes were wide. The boy somehow realized of his look, the look that made his an outcast in the past. But what was more interesting was that the boy had a demon sealed inside of him, and he was here, standing right in front of him. That could only mean that the boy wasn't influenced by the demon, and his soul was pure. Well, you see, there's something about me that not most know, he said. Like what? Asked Naruto, intrigued. Sajin turned around and looked at the wall. I'm afraid I cannot tell you since I do not trust you enough. I can understand that, he said, shocking Sajin. The captain thought that Naruto would start pleading to find out his secret. I too was afraid to tell people of the demon inside of me when I was alive, especially to the young generation, since it seemed that only they didn't look at me like a demon. What do you mean by that? Asked Sajin, interested. Well, you see, to protect me and be able to live a normal life, the leader of my village made a law forbidding people to speak about the demon and forbidding them to tell anyone about it, especially their children. Naruto explained. I can see why, said Sajin. He wanted you to live a normal life by having friends. Naruto nodded. Yes, but it seems that the people found a way around the law and started telling their children I was evil and dangerous, and forbid them to play with me," he said. Now Sajin was a little sad for the boy. It reminded him about his past. He was an outcast because of the way he looked, and no one wanted to speak or go near him. He was treated poorly and people looked with disgust at him, all except two, and those are Yamamoto, who helped him become a Shinigami, and Tosen Kaname. So the children always avoided me and treated me badly like their parents did. Continued Naruto. Not even when I entered the academy to learn how to become a ninja was I treated different. They still treated me how their parents told them to, said Naruto. I barely made a few friends. In fact, I don't know if they were real friends since I died before I could know them better, said Naruto, looking sad. Sajin frowned. Your story is touching, boy. Yeah, I know. I mean, I never heard anything like that. You were an outcast. Something like that, I think, said Naruto, looking at the door. Sajin nodded. You are almost like me, he said. Naruto turned to the man and looked at him questionable. What do you mean? He asked. Sajin brought his hands to his helmet and slowly removed it. When it wasn't covering him anymore, Naruto saw how the captain looked under the helmet. He had a fox's head, but he also took another glimpse at his body and saw that it was like a humanoid fox. Naruto's eyes were big as saucers. Because of the way I look, I was an outcast here, said Sajin. That is until Yamamoto-sama took me under his wing and trained me to become a Shinigami. So people were mean to you because you have the head of fox? Asked Naruto. The captain nodded and put his helmet back on his head. I expect you not to tell anyone. How could I tell anyone? Asked Naruto. That would make me as bad as the villagers back in my village. Sajin nodded. Yes, it would, not to mention that you would betray my trust and that I would kill you. You mean I gained your trust? Asked Naruto. How come? I told you, you and me are in a way similar. You were an outcast because of what you carried. I was an outcast because of how I looked, said the captain. I showed you how I look because I could feel that you would keep it a secret. Yeah, but can you tell me something? Asked Naruto. Sure, the captain responded. How come you have a fox head? Were you born like that? Asked Naruto, intrigued. To be honest, I don't remember, said Sajin. How come? In time you lose your memories and you can't remember most of your past, explained Sajin. Naruto's eyes widened. So that means that in the future I will forget about my home village and everyone there? He asked. Sajin nodded. Yes, but I don't know after how many years. Naruto sighed. At least I will forget about the way I was treated, but I wish I won't forget about those that were precious to me. Precious? Asked Sajin. Yes, those people that treated me good have become precious to me. I vowed to protect them, but I died before I could keep my vow. Maybe, somehow I can protect them from the dead, explained Naruto. So the village leader was a precious person to you? Asked Sajin. Yes, like Yamamoto-sama is to you, said Naruto. And what are the benefits of protecting your precious people? The captain asked, interested. You gain strength wishing to protect those precious, or at least it applied to me, said Naruto. I see, it is quite interesting, Sajin said, thinking. I think I should go. Dad is waiting for me at the compound's entrance, and maybe Sensei is getting worried, said Naruto, scratching the back of his head. Sajin nodded. All right, you can go, he said, turning around. Before you leave, can I tell you one last thing? Asked Sajin. Naruto nodded. Sure, come by here when you want to talk. I enjoyed our conversation, he said. Naruto grinned. You bet I will. See you later, Sajin Taishu, said Naruto, walking out of the room. Sajin smiled under his mask. Interesting boy, he said as he sat back down on the carpet to meditate. Naruto walked outside the compound. He saw Minato looking at the sky and looking bored. The blonde man spotted Naruto and grabbed his hand. He disappeared and reappeared in front of the academy. What was that for? Asked Naruto. Class started 5 minutes ago, explained Yondaime. Then a thought passed the blonde boy's head. Why the hell didn't you teleport us in front of the compound in the first place? He asked, annoyed. It was part of your punishment to run, said Yondaime, grinning and disappearing again. Naruto shook his head and cursed under his breath. He walked inside the academy, and he immediately noticed the difference between the moment when students are in their classes and when they are in break. The corridors were completely empty. No one was moving, nothing was moving. Naruto reached his class. He knocked at the door and walked inside. Everyone inside looked at him, wondering where he was. Kisuke looked at Naruto silently for a second before he started talking. Did you deliver the letter? He asked. Naruto nodded. Yes, I did. But why are you late? Class started 5 minutes ago, said Kisuke. Captain Sajin wanted to talk to me about some things, said Naruto. Kisuke's eyes widened. He wanted to talk to you? He asked. Yeah, why is it wrong? He asked. No, it's just that he usually doesn't talk to anyone, not even other captains. He only talks to Yamamoto-sama, his friend, and when he gives his division in order, said Kisuke. Naruto shrugged and started walking back at his seat. What did you talk about? Asked Kisuke. Can't tell, said Naruto. Sajin Taishu said he would kill me if I tell anyone, he said, giving his sensei a grin. Kisuke nodded and let the subject drop. He knew that when Sajin says he will kill someone, he would do it. Still, he was interested at what the two talked about, but he decided to let it drop, for now at least. A month later. Another month had passed for Naruto. Time seemed to pass much faster all of a sudden. For this month they spent learning and learning from books. It was completely boring all of a sudden. Mostly because Naruto really wanted to get his Zanpakuto already. In the first day of the academy they said he would get his Zanpakuto after 2 weeks. But 2 weeks had passed a long time ago, and he still didn't have his Zanpakuto. Naruto learned more about a Zanpakuto. He also learned from Sajin, whom he visited often. The man was interesting and Naruto really liked him. The captain now talked with Naruto without his helmet on. No longer was he afraid that Naruto would shun him. In fact, he never did see the boy glare and look bad at him. Sajin's respect for Naruto increased over the month. Sajin showed Naruto how a Zanpakuto looks like, or at least how his looks like. He was asked by the boy to show him how it works. Sajin of course started a little spar with his lieutenant to show Naruto how someone fights with a Zanpakuto. But when Naruto asked about his Shurikai and Bankai, since he had learned about them in the academy, Sajin would tell him that he is not ready to see such a thing. Sajin was more afraid to show Naruto his Bankai. He didn't want to destroy everything around them. With his family, Naruto finally forgave Minato. After another month of constant apologizing by the man, Naruto finally forgave him. During the Sundays when Naruto wouldn't be in the academy, he would live with his parents. He saw his mother's side, meaning her cooking, and he really enjoyed it. He also saw a part of his father that was similar to his, their affection for ramen. He spent hours talking with Minato about ramen and about Ichiraku, where it seemed that the yandame used to go to eat his ramen whenever Kushina wouldn't make him. Kushina scowled Naruto when she found out that during his lifetime he ate more ramen than was necessary. She knew that Sandane would have bought him some vegetables, which is true, but Naruto would never eat them. He would hide them and pretend that he ate his vegetables. After a month, Naruto made new friends. He finally met Renji's friend, Izuru. The guy seemed nice. He was in the same class with Naruto. They spent a few hours talking, and after that Naruto would go and train with them or eat. From Rukia's side, Naruto met a girl by the name of Matsumoto Ranjaku. She was in the second year, but somehow Rukia befriended with her, and he befriended with the girl as well. Naruto considered her to be beautiful. She had long dark orange hair, a good body, and a nice bust. Naruto would spend time with the two girls after the academy hours. But that was what happened during that month. Right now it was the day Naruto waited for some time now. Today was the day he would get his Zanpakuto. He couldn't help but smile like an idiot all day. Of course, that made the students think if he is somehow related to the blonde man that would teach them in the third year, and also think if Naruto was feeling well. Now Naruto and the rest of the class were outside in their training field. One by one the students walked up to the sensei and did as they were told. They each summoned their Zanpakuto. So far everyone's looked almost the same. The difference was that some were larger while others were shorter, some were bigger, others smaller in dimension. What Naruto didn't like was that after they summoned their Zanpakuto they were to unsummon it. Kisuke said that they aren't allowed to have a Zanpakuto only after they graduate. But this was a way to see at what level each of the students' spirit force was. When Naruto's turn came, he walked up to Kisuke. The man was about to tell Naruto how he needs to summon his Zanpakuto when Kenpachi and Yachiru dropped near him. Kisuke turned towards him and raised an eyebrow. Kenpachi looked at Kisuke. "I want to see the boy's Zanpakuto." "Why is that?" asked Kisuke. Kenpachi gave him a maniacal grin. Kisuke understood now why the man wanted to see Naruto's Zanpakuto. He wanted to know if the boy was truly strong. If he was as strong as Yamamoto stated, then his Zanpakuto would be big, very big. Kisuke turned to Naruto. "Alright, to summon your Zanpakuto you need to search for it inside of you." Naruto scratched the back of his head. What do you mean by that?" he asked, not understanding. "Like I said, look inside your soul, close your eyes and meditate." Naruto did as he was told. He closed his eyes and started concentrating. He cleared his mind of everything. He could hear everything clearly. Suddenly he felt light. Naruto's mindscape. Naruto opened his eyes and glanced around. He was in a familiar forest. His eyes softened when he realized he was in the forest where he had met Haku for the first time. He glanced around trying to find his Zanpakuto. He figured he had to look for a sword or something. Naruto heard something move behind him and turned around. His eyes widened when he saw Kyubi coming out of the trees. His 9 tails swinging behind him. He was as tall as a tree. "Kyubi?" asked Naruto. "What are you doing here?" he asked. "What does it look like?" he asked. "I am your Zanpakuto." Naruto's eyes widened. "What?" he yelled. "I have to deal with you again?" Kyubi sneered. "Like I wanted to work with you, weakling." "What did you say?" asked Naruto deadly while gritting his teeth. Kyubi sighed. "Anyway, yes, I am your Zanpakuto, but one of them." Naruto raised an eyebrow. "One of them?" he asked. Kyubi nodded. "Why don't you come out?" he asked towards the woods. Naruto heard something moving behind Kyubi. He looked carefully, and he saw someone coming out from behind some bushes. "Hello?" the man said. Naruto studied the man. He looked to be around the age of 30 or so. He wore some strange armor colored white with golden lines moving around the armor. He had a strange helmet. Naruto didn't know how to describe it. The front top of the helmet ended pointy. The middle top of the helmet was missing. The man had dark blue hair. The man had a strange piece of plate situated in front of his neck like a shield to protect him for anyone that would try and cut his throat. On the helmet were golden lines. The eye openings were made in such a way that it made the man look fierce. The man wore on his back a strange-looking shield. Like his armor, it was white and had golden lines, but the gold lines formed the head of a dragon that seemed to be roaring. The man had a piece of light blue clothing coming from under his chest plate. It reached to his knees. From under his shoulder guards was another piece of blue clothing coming out. In short, the man looked fierce. His body was covered in armor entirely. Naruto looked at the man's waist and saw a sword attached to it. He couldn't see the blade since the sword was sheathed, but it seemed like the sword was like a standard broadsword, but its hilt looked strange. The hilt started with a blue diamond held by a claw-like model. The hilt was covered with leather, but it was colored light blue. The top end of the hilt ended with a golden design of flames. "Who are you?" asked Naruto. "Me?" the man asked. "My name is—" "What did you say?" asked Naruto. The man looked at Kyuubi and Kyuubi was looking at him. Then Kyuubi turned to look at Naruto. "Do you know who I am, Kit?" asked Kyuubi. "Yeah, you're Kyuubi no Kitsune," said Naruto. Kyuubi shook his head. "That is just a title given to me by you humans. My real name is—" "Huh?" asked Naruto. "I didn't hear." "It seems you aren't ready to hear our names," said the man. Kyuubi nodded. "But we can still ask you why you are here. I need to call upon my Zanpakuto to show it to my sensei," explained Naruto. The man looked at Kyuubi and Kyuubi looked at him. They both nodded and turned to Naruto. "We will send you back out, and we will give you your Zanpakutos, but only for a few seconds." "Why is that?" asked Naruto. "To gain your Zanpakuto you need to pass a test me and my friend here will give you," explained Kyuubi. "Oh-sensei said something like that a few months ago," said Naruto. "Well, we will see you when the time comes," said the man, and Naruto closed his eyes and felt light. Real world. Naruto opened his eyes. For Kasuke it seemed that only a second had passed. A powerful energy started to move around Naruto. Kasuke and Kenpachi's eyes widened, as well as the students. The energy split in two and moved to his hands. To everyone's surprise, the energies formed two Zanpakutos. The first one started with a blue diamond held by a claw-like model. The hilt was covered with leather, but it was colored light blue. The top end of the hilt ended with a golden design of flames. The blade was long as a katana but not curved, and it was also denser than one. It looked like the blade of a broadsword. The second blade started with the model of three horns colored black. The hilt was bloody red and the top end had the design of bat wings, it seemed. The blade was strange. It started dense, then the middle was thick, almost like a katana. Then the end became denser again, and the end was pointy. The second sword was as long as the first one. Kenpachi was amazed of the boy. He was the third to have dual-wield Zanpakutos. Kisuke was amazed not only about that, but he was amazed that he could feel the sheer power coming from the two Zanpakutos. It was breathtaking, literally. He didn't know how, but the energy created by the two Zanpakutos seemed so immense. It was incredible. The two Zanpakutos then burst. The one with red hilt burst in red flames, and then one with light blue hilt turned to ice and then exploded, the shards turning to water and air. Then the fire, water and air transformed to pure spiritual energy and entered Naruto's body, disappearing. Kisuke, like the rest of the class, was gaping at Naruto. Kenpachi was grinning like a maniac at what he saw. He knew the boy was strong, and this proved it. Unknown to Naruto, a few of the captains had watched the show and were amazed. Sajin smiled when he saw the two Zanpakutos. A man with long white hair was gaping just like the man next to him that had black hair and wore a straw hat. Minato had his eyes wide as saucers. In Konoha, a month had passed since Naruto's death. The villagers eventually found out and started partying. The Hokage tried to stop them, but when he saw that he couldn't do anything, he stopped trying. The people just seemed to be too stupid to understand who the boy is. They once tried to find his grave and defile it as Kakashi thought it would happen. The Hokage was happy that the council didn't try to erase Naruto's name from the memorial stone. Zabuza had been integrated in Konoha to the displeasure of the council that wanted him dead. Zabuza and Haku entered under the Hokage's protective wings. Zabuza was now a jounin, but he wasn't taking students, not yet. He said it clear that he doesn't want students yet, and Sandaime understood and didn't press him. Haku was integrated into Team 7 and they started doing mission together. Sasuke returned to his brooding during the month. Sakura had completely forgotten about Naruto and just kept stalking Sasuke, and when Haku would try to talk to them, she would get paranoid and yell at her that she won't get her hands on her Sasuke. The said boy would growl at his annoying pink teammate and started talking to Haku, much to Sakura's displeasure. Haku still had it bad with Naruto's death. At nights she would cry herself to sleep. She realized that the boy had become a great part of her in just a few days, and now that he wasn't anymore around, she couldn't take it. To her happiness, Kakashi, Zabuza and Sandaime were always there to help her. Then a young boy by the name of Konohamaru came to her, and he became close to her due to the sufferings since he considered Naruto as a brother. To comfort her appeared both Ayame and Tuchi, who were missing the blonde boy. Kakashi would now be 3 hours late for everything. He would always be found in front of the memorial stone looking over 3 names. Said names were Uchiha Obito, Namake's Minato, and Uzumaki Namake's Naruto. When he would arrive where his team was, he would get yelled at for where he was by Sakura. He would glare at her and tell her to mind her own business. During training, Kakashi no longer paid attention to Sasuke. He started instructing Haku more and more, much to Sasuke's displeasure. He would sometimes teach Sakura and Sasuke, but he would concentrate on Haku. He would favor her since he thought that it was a way for him to repay Naruto. From the rest of the rookies, things stood different, as for their sensei. Hinata, when she found out about the blonde boy's death, locked herself in her room and never came out for an entire week. But she vowed to become stronger, and she slowly improved. She was still afraid of her father and his voice, she still stuttered. Hinata started ignoring Sakura for the way she seemed to have forgotten about Naruto, and the way she acted. It just made her angry, and she didn't want to see the pink girl. Kiba didn't know Naruto all too well. During the academy, he was just an annoying boy. Though at first his mother told him to stay away from him, she then told him that she was wrong and that he should befriend with him. Kiba talked with Naruto whenever he wanted. He learned a few things about him, but not enough. He didn't mourn him only a few days, and once per day he and his teammates, including their sensei, would go to the memorial stone and lay a white flower for Naruto. This thing got picked up really fast, and strangely after some time, Zabuza, Kakashi, Sandaime, Iruka, Konohamaru, Ayame, Tsuchi, a spandex-wearing jounin by the name of Guy, Osama, and his team would all come to the memorial stone on Sundays and lay a white flower for the fallen hero. Shino didn't know what to think. He was amazed that Naruto died. No, he was shocked that Naruto died. During the academy, he saw the blonde boy was holding back a lot. He was much stronger than he looked to be, and it shocked him to find out that he died. He offed them all. The same thoughts were shared by Shikamaru. Both boys didn't cry, to show they were strong for him. But at nights they would think about him and smile when they would remember his pranks and the way he acted. Ino was a bit disappointed on Sakura for forgetting about Naruto. Truth was that she wasn't all that interested in Naruto, but he was a friend and an old classmate. It was just right for them to mourn him, but it seemed that Sakura didn't care about it. Ino would think about the boy when she would look over the shop. It seemed just right to think about what he did in the academy, and his everlasting smile. Chuji was sad that Naruto died. He had lost a ramen lover, someone he could talk about ramen and eat it. He, like everyone, mourned him for a few days, and then using his memory he would think about the boy. Iruka was mostly affected. He took it hard. He took Naruto's death hard. Every day he regretted for putting Naruto in Team 7, or at least putting Sakura in Team 7. He at nights wished that he could change the events, that he could go back in time and stop all this from happening. He didn't hate Haku and Zabuza. He knew what Naruto wanted to do, and he respected that. He would be seen sometimes comforting Haku or giving her tips about training. He felt that being close to the girl, he would be close to Naruto, as Naruto's last act was to save someone precious to him. She was precious for him. Asuma for a few days didn't know how to react. He didn't know the boy too much. He saw him a few times doing his pranks, running around and smiling. He respected the boy for what he did and for his devotion to save someone innocent. He didn't quite know how to feel for the loss. Sure, he was sad, but he didn't know how to react. Same with him was Kurenai. Not even she knew how to react. She was sad of the state Hinata had reached because of the boy's death. She was sad that Naruto, the happy figure, died. The person that always brought a smile to everyone, died. Kakashi sighed as he looked at the sky. In a few months the Chunin exams would come. He didn't know if he should nominate his team or not. He knew he would have nominated it if Naruto was still alive and in his team, but now he didn't know what he should do. He didn't know how he should react. He was lost. A blonde boy was running down the streets of Suriidi with a smile plastered on his face. He couldn't be more happy. Why, some might ask. The answer is as simple as the question itself. Today the blonde boy found out if he passed the first year's exam or not. The blonde boy remembered the test. It was quite easy. Well, easy for him because he knew the answers for the first time regarding a written test. He was asked things such as when the first Shinigami had appeared, the roles of a Shinigami, what hollows are and how to kill them, and finally they had to write an essay about the beginning of Suriidi and the divisions. And now Naruto was happy because he had passed the first year. That was one step closer to becoming a Shinigami. But now some might have asked where he was going. Of course some might answer home to his parents, but they already knew he passed, so he was making his way to a friend of his. As Naruto reached the entrance to a compound, he was stopped by the guards. Two Shinigami that looked like serious people. What is your business here? One of them asked. I am here to see Sajin Taishu, said Naruto, grinning. Do you have an appointment? Asked the second. Or do you have to send him a message? Neither, said Naruto. I am one of his friends and I am bringing him good news, said the blonde boy, grinning. The Shinigami guards raised an eyebrow. And your name is? Uzumaki Naruto, said the boy. Ah, Naruto-san, we didn't recognize you. I am sure Sajin Taishu would be happy to see you, said the first guard, letting Naruto pass. The blonde boy grinned and walked through the gates and started running to his friend's room. The two guards looked at the retreating figure, and then they looked back at each other. Since when does Sajin Taishu have a kid as a friend? Asked the second guard. The first guard sighed. Since a few months ago. Take my advice and never deny entry to the boy inside when he wants to see the captain. Why is that? Asked the second guard. Sajin Taishu became really close to the boy. It's like he had taken him under his protective wing, responded the first guard. And how is that bad? Asked the second. Well, you see, 2 months ago there was a guard that didn't let the boy in and didn't believe him when he told him that Sajin Taishu is his friend. Unluckily for the guard, the captain happened to pass by and heard everything, even the guard telling the boy to scram. The captain's reaction wasn't good. He gave the guard a powerful punch in the head and gave him some friendly advice before the guard went into 1 month unconsciousness. The second guard shivered and unconsciously rubbed his head. Good that you recognized the boy. I didn't know if he was telling the truth. Well, now you know, said the first, shivering at the memory of the meeting their captain had with them regarding the boy. Speaking of the boy, he was currently in front of the captain's door. He knocked once and didn't wait for the response to come. He opened the door. This became a habit for both of them in the past months. Naruto would knock once and enter. The captain wouldn't say anything except for the usual greeting. So right now it was the same thing. As Naruto entered the room, the captain turned to the blonde boy and gave him a friendly hello. The blonde academy student returned the greeting and closed the door behind him. The massive man removed his helmet and placed it near him on the floor. So to what do I owe this honor, Naruto? He asked. I passed the first-year exam, responded the blonde boy, bouncing up and down. Now I am in the second year, Sajin smiled. That is good to hear, Naruto nodded. And the test was easy. I mean, I never would have thought that I could answer correctly to a written test. The captain laughed at the boy. It seems that you have studied more than you know. The blonde Shinigami in training shook his head and pointed to his head. I stalked everything in class here, said Naruto, grinning. That's a darn good memory then, said the 7th Division's captain with a grin. Naruto nodded. Yeah, and now I will learn more Kido, and I will even learn how to fight with the Zanpakuto. The captain grinned wider and put his helmet back on his head. He stood up. Why don't you come with me? He asked. I have a surprise for you. Naruto grinned and jumped up on his feet. He left the room following the 7th Division's captain. The man took him to the division's armory. He told Naruto to wait outside and the blonde boy complied. A few minutes later, Sajin came out with 2 standard katana in his hands. He gave one to Naruto and motioned him to follow. The blonde boy followed the captain through a series of hallways till they finally reached the division's open grounds. Sajin walked to the middle of the field and Naruto followed. The massive man looked at second-year student and started talking. Now, Naruto, you will learn in the second year to fight with the Zanpakuto, said the captain, and the blonde boy nodded. But for learning purposes you will use a standard katana in the academy. Naruto frowned. So when they said I would get my Zanpakuto at the end of the academy, they weren't kidding. Yes, they weren't, responded Sajin with a nod. But in the end you will know how to use your Zanpakuto since you learned fighting with a katana in the academy. Naruto looked at the katana in his hands and then at Sajin's. What are we going to do with this? Well, I thought that to congratulate you for passing the first year I should teach you today the basics of fighting with a katana, said the humanoid fox with a grin that widened when he saw Naruto smiling and cheering. Alright, when do we start? He asked. Right now if you want. When he saw Naruto nod, he unsheathed his sword and held it in his left hand. He raised it and pointed it to the orange-clad. Come stand next to me, Naruto, said boy, nodded and walked towards Sajin that had lowered his katana. Naruto grabbed his katana's hilt and unsheathed it, holding it the same way Sajin was holding his. The captain nodded at the blonde boy. Now do as I do. Naruto nodded and looked at Sajin. The man bent his knees and raised his sword above his head, the end of the hilt being at the end of his head, and the blade above his head pointing in front of him. Naruto did the same thing as the captain did, only that he wasn't bent down enough. The 7th Division's captain saw this and told the young Shinigami in training to stay as he is. Naruto complied and Sajin pushed the boy down a little, making him bend as much as he needed. When he saw that the boy was in the right position, he nodded and took his position back. The captain then moved his katana. He moved the sword down towards the ground with the blade remaining pointed in front of him. When the katana reached the ground, he turned the blade around, making the katana point to his back. Naruto watched closely, and when he saw Sajin look at him, he did the same thing as the captain did, but it was sloppy. At first Naruto touched the ground with the top of the blade, then he accidentally implanted the katana in the ground. But at his third try he did it right. When the blonde student was done with this, the captain moved the katana again. He turned the blade, making it swipe from the end to the front of him. Or in other words, he moved the blade from pointing behind him to point in the front by doing a 90 degrees turn with it. Naruto moved a little to the side so as not to hurt his friend if he does the move right. He did the same thing as the massive man did, and even though it was slow, it was good for a starter. Sajin then lowered the top end of the blade to the ground and raised the blade back above his head, slowly raising the top end of the blade so it would cut the air vertically. The blonde boy did the same thing as the captain did, and without any mistakes. Sajin nodded to Naruto and instructed him to do it from the beginning to the end, slowly gaining in speed. Of course the captain did the moves at the same time with the boy. Whenever that he would go up in speed at moving his katana, the 7th Division's captain would do the same. After practicing the 4 moves for half an hour, Naruto was moving his sword fairly good, as a student in the second year should. Sajin instructed the blonde student to stop and to stand upright. Said boy did as he was told. The next thing the captain did was to teach the blonde a few defensive maneuvers. He moved his right leg to the back. He brought his katana in front of him, holding the hilt that was near his stomach, thus the blade ended at the middle of his face. Naruto followed the same steps that the captain did and waited for the next instructions. The next thing Sajin did was to turn the blade to the left, completely, without moving the hilt from him front of his stomach. Naruto did the same thing, moving it slowly, In truth, the blonde boy was doing well, but his hands were shaking because he was still getting used to hold the sword. The captain knew that Naruto was a dual-wielder type, but the basics for dual-wield were one-wield. He had to master those steps first, and then create his own movements with dual-wield. Sajin moved the hilt along his left side till he was holding it behind him, and the blade was pointing in front of him. Then he moved the katana in front of him like he would stab someone, and then moved his blade back to the right side. The hilt was pointing to the southeast, while the blade pointing to the northwest. Naruto studied the movements closely before he copied them sloppily. "Ah, that was bad," said the massive captain. "I know," responded the boy. "Go from the top again," instructed Sajin. The blonde boy nodded and started the exercise from the beginning again. He did this for about 10 times till he finally managed to make the correct move like the captain had showed him. The next step was to raise the blade up towards the sky while not moving it left or right so that the hilt would be to the right side of the stomach and the blade to the right side of his head. Naruto did again as he was instructed, moving the blade slowly but without any flaw. Sajin nodded and then moved the blade to be in front of him and the hilt in front of his stomach, and then he turned the sword 360 degrees. Naruto did the same thing without any problem. The 7th Division's captain moved his katana. The hilt was now in front of his head, and the blade was pointing towards the right. He did a vertical slash, making the hilt to be at the top right of his head, and the blade to be at the left side pointing down. He then moved his hands down, while raising the sword up like he would parry an incoming attack for the right side. He then turned the blade to be in front of his head, and the hilt in front of his stomach. All the time Naruto had followed the movements closely. There were a few flaws that Sajin said they would fix them as they work. After that, the captain and Naruto, like the first time, started to do the exercise again, only moving the katana faster and faster till Naruto couldn't go any faster. Once again his speed was that of an academy student in the 2nd year. It was only obvious that he would move like that since he never wielded that sword of any form. The next thing they did was to parry with the katana. They would follow the 360 pattern and move the sword, turning it to the left or right or upper left or lower right. They moved faster and faster, and then they started taking steps back while moving their katana. After the said exercise they started a little spar. Sajin would attack and Naruto would defend himself like he learned. The humanoid fox at first moved his katana slowly so that Naruto could keep up with him, and then he moved faster and faster till a point when the blonde Shinigami in training was turning his sword around the 360 degrees pattern so fast that he didn't see the blade anyone. It was just a blur in front of him. It was a good thing that Sajin didn't increase the power of the attack, because blocking so fast Naruto tired very fast, and if the attack was powerful the boy wouldn't be able to hold his katana anymore, thus dropping it on the ground. Of course, when the captain saw that Naruto was getting tired, reduced the speed of the attacks till he completely stopped. Sajin was impressed on the boy's skill to defend himself. He learned fast. His moves were a little sloppy, but they would improve in time. The captain decided that for the day the boy shouldn't learn anything more but perfect the moves he had shown him. And so for the next couple of hours till it got dark they trained. Sajin would sometimes watch T-Boy as he perfects his moves. When it was too dark outside they stopped. "Naruto," said Sajin, getting his attention, "you can stop now. It's too dark to continue," he said. Naruto nodded tiredly and walked over to the captain, sheathing his katana. "That was some workout," he said. "Did you like it?" asked Sajin. "Like it?" asked Naruto. "I loved it. I never imagined you would be the first to train me in using a katana," he said, grinning. Sajin got up and walked over to Naruto and put a hand on his shoulder. "Anything for a friend, no?" he asked, and the blonde boy nodded. "Now once again, whenever you want to come and visit you are more than welcome, and now that you will learn to use a katana we will also have a few spars. What do you say?" "Yeah," cheered the blonde. "That would be so cool," he said, bouncing up and down, his energy coming back. It made Sajin think if he was somehow related to Yuichiro. The captain laughed and patted the boy on the shoulder. "Come on, I will walk you back to the academy to your living quarters," he said. Naruto nodded and handed him his katana. "Here," he said. Sajin shook his head. "You can keep it." "Really?" asked Naruto. "Sure, you should bring it every time we practice," said the captain. The two started walking towards the compound's gates. There they met the 2 guards from the morning, and they saluted the captain and watched with interest as their captain was walking side by side with the blonde boy while talking to him. "Tell me why you are so cautious now?" asked Naruto as they were walking. Sajin raised an eyebrow and then remembered he forgot to tell Naruto something. "I forgot to tell you, this morning your first-year sensei disappeared." "Kisuke sensei disappeared?" asked Naruto, not believing. Sajin nodded. "It was quite strange. He disappeared without a warning, nothing." "And who took his position as captain?" asked Naruto. "A strange guy with the front of his face black and the rest of his head white. His name is Kuritsuchi Mayuri," said the captain. "And what about him?" "He is strange. He loves to experiment. I would advise you never to go in the 12th division, and if you meet him to stay clear of him." "Why?" "Let's put it like this. If he saw my true look he would try to experiment on me. If he found out about your power and past he would again try to experiment," said Sajin, gritting his teeth. "And this is one of the reasons you are escorting me?" asked Naruto. Sajin nodded. "He likes to walk out during the dark. I would hate for him to get his hands on you." Thanks, said Naruto. It's nothing, but promise me that when you finish the academy, if you can, join my division, said Sajin. I can say in what division I want to be at the end, asked Naruto. Well, usually no, they place you in a division, but at least try to ask them if they can place you in mine, said Sajin. Naruto nodded. Okay, I will. He gave the captain a smile. While walking, they did some small talk, what Kido Naruto would be learning during the second year, what moves he will learn while fighting with a katana. Sajin even explained the soul burial to Naruto, so he would already know that. When they reached the academy, Sajin once again escorted Naruto to the sleeping quarters. A few students were still up, and when they saw the blonde kid walking with the massive captain, they didn't understand what was happening. At first they thought he did something bad, but then they saw that Naruto was carrying a standard katana and that the captain was talking casually to Naruto, and the blonde boy was talking to the captain like a friend or a close person. When they reached the blonde boy's room, he knocked at the door and entered. Sajin stood in front of the door. Well, Naruto, I bid you farewell, said Sajin. Naruto nodded. I will see you tomorrow. Of course, said Sajin, shaking Naruto's hand. He then turned to leave and Naruto closed the door. When he turned around, he saw the shocked looks Rukia and Renji were giving him. What? Asked Naruto, not understanding, but they didn't answer. They were too shocked to see that someone was talking to a captain like a friend, dropping all kind of formalities. 3 months later. 3 months have passed since Naruto, Rukia and Renji graduated from the first year. During the 3 months, Naruto learned one more offensive and defensive Kido, and started mastering the art of fighting with a sword. Obito was impressed to see that Naruto already knew the basics of maneuvering a katana. He wondered where he learned that. The students were amazed to see that someone was mastering the basics of sword wielding that fast. Of course, no one knew that Sajin was giving him lessons after the academy. In 3 months, little of the real news about Captain Urahara Kisuke's disappearance was heard. He had been exiled for doing some things that the seats didn't approve. He had to face exile or execution, and he chose to be exiled. There was nothing else Kisuke could do. Naruto didn't understand what his former sensei had done to be banished. After all, it couldn't have been that bad, could it? Naruto had talked one more time with Kyuubi and the new soul. He tried to find out their names, but he wouldn't hear them and they wouldn't give him the test for his Zanpakutos. Naruto somehow understood why. They didn't want the boy to attract too much attention on him. So Naruto had to wait till the end of the 4th year to get the test from his 2 tenants. Or so he considered them. Naruto used to spend some of his time fighting with Renji with wooden sticks designed to resemble katanas. Sometimes Izuru would come and they would have spars and decide winners. So far Renji had won 10 times, Izuru 15 times and Naruto 13 times. All in all, Izuru was better than both of them, it seemed, when it came to fighting while thinking. But during classes, Renji would humiliate Izuru by attacking full force, making the blonde boy go in defensive. During classes, Naruto somehow almost always got paired to fight Rukia. He didn't understand why, and when he asked Obito, he didn't know why. He would say that it just seemed to be good. To say that Naruto was humiliated at first was a fact. He didn't want to hit a girl, and when he said that, Rukia exploded and beat the crap out of him. After that, Naruto learned never to underestimate a girl and started fighting Rukia as an equal, much to her pleasure. Naruto learned how the kanso is done. Obito had explained in detail, and even took them on a field trip to show them how it's done by doing the kanso on a spirit. He even showed them what happens to a spirit that had committed crimes in his life. The sight wasn't good, and the spirit had been dragged into hell. Naruto hoped that Haku didn't kill out of pleasure because he didn't want to send her in hell. Actually, he found out that it isn't up to the Shinigami where the spirit goes. Things were going well overall. Naruto was enjoying his life as a Shinigami in training, and he enjoyed the company of his new friend and his family. But one thing was sure, he never forgot what he was planning. He never forgot Haku. He would always think about Haku before falling asleep. He really wanted to meet Haku again soon and be with her. He realized after thinking serious for an entire year that he developed some feelings for the girl. He now wanted to know what she thought about him. Konoha, warning, I'm summing the events, don't like it, deal with it. I'm doing this because I don't want to write more than the important here. 6 months have passed in Konoha, 6 painful months for Kakashi, Sandaime and Haku. They just couldn't forget the boy. They couldn't and would never forget him. At a certain point, people thought that Kakashi would get all emotional, but he remained the same old Kakashi, only spending more time in front of the memorial stone. Haku now managed to fall asleep at nights without crying herself to sleep. But again, she never forgot. She was asked by people to go out with them during those 6 months. Since she had changed her wardrobe, wearing ninja gear, only guys noticed her more and more. She declined all attempts to her heart, as she swore not to be with anyone except the blonde boy that had taken her heart with him in heavens. After thinking a lot, Kakashi finally nominated Team 7 for the Chunin exams. He was confident that they could do it. More likely, he had his hopes in Haku to keep the team together, as it seemed that Sasuke would listen to her, and then Sakura wouldn't have nothing else to do but listen to her as well. Right now, Haku and Sakura were walking down the streets of Konoha when they heard someone scream. They took the corner and saw a guy with black cat suit holding Konohamaru by the collar. "Hey, let go of Konohamaru," said Haku. "Why should I? He hurt me, I will hurt him," growled the cat man. They then saw another person near him. It was a girl with pineapple blonde hair and a battle fan. "Let him go, Kankuro, you are causing a scene," she said. "Temari, this little brat hurt me. All I did was to accidentally bump into you." cried the boy. Kankuro was about to hurt him when a pebble hit him on the head. He scowled and looked up in the trees. There stood Sasuke smirking. Why don't you pick on someone your own size? He said. Sasuke-kun! Screeched Sakura happily. Great more Konoha pests, said Kankuro annoyed. Let the boy go, demanded Sasuke. No, said Kankuro. Kankuro, came a deadly voice. They looked in the same tree where Sasuke was to see a red-haired boy with a gourd attached to his back sitting upside down a branch. Jigara, said Kankuro. He started it. Enough, he said, disappearing in swirl of sand and reappearing in front of the cat boy. You are a disgrace to the village. Put him down, or I will kill you, said Gaara deadly. Kankuro gulped and let go of Konohamaru that ran away. Gaara turned to the group. By now Sasuke was with his team. Sorry if my brother offended you, he said, turning around. Let's go, he ordered, and his two teammates turned around to follow him. Wait, said Sasuke. What's your name? He asked. Sabaka no Gaara, the red-haired boy responded. Uchiha Sasuke, said the raven-haired boy. I want to fight you, he said, disappearing with his teammates in a swirl of sand. Time skip, exam day. Team 7 was in room 301. As they entered, Ino appeared and jumped on Sasuke and started a screaming competition with Sakura over the raven-haired boy. Slowly everyone for the Rookie 8 came. Haku stood in a corner inspecting the room. She saw a glass-wearing guy walking up to the rookies and showing them NIN info cards. He then said something bad about the new village of Odogekure and was attacked. Before they could kill him, the proctor arrived and ordered them to be seated. Haku managed to take a seat near Hinata. A few minutes after they were explained the rules and given the test, Haku understood the purpose of the exam and started using her bloodline to pass the written exam. They passed the first part of the exam, and then they headed off to the Forest of Death where the second part of the exam was being held. They were led by a crazy woman called Anko. She explained them everything they needed to know, and handed them some contracts in case they die and one scroll. Team 7 received a heaven scroll. During the second exam they were attacked by a strange man that gave Sasuke a hickey. Haku used her ice mirrors to try and fight him. She held his off a long time. After the man gave the hickey to Sasuke, he tried to give it to Haku, but to her luck Anko appeared and stopped the man. Sasuke stood unconscious an entire night. The next day they were attacked by the sound team. Haku was too tired to fight, having suffered a bad case of chakra exhaustion. Sasuke woke up during the fight and beat the sound team. They arrived at the tower with the help of the glass-wearing man by the name of Kabuto. During the preliminaries, Haku had to fight Kiba. She used her ice mirrors and finished the fight fast. The other battles were the same as in the anime/manga. Haku had passed the preliminaries. She felt sorry for how Hinata was played in a mind game. After Niji had said all those things to her, she forfeited before she could fight. Haku had to face Niji in the third exam as the first fight. She was now in the hospital looking for Kakashi. She spotted the silver-haired Jounin reading his book. Hello, Kakashi-sensei, said Haku. Said man turned to look at her. Oh hi Haku, he said, smiling at her. Kakashi-sensei, could you show me some things for the third part of the exam? Asked Haku. Kakashi shook his head. I am sorry, but the council had forced me to teach Sasuke. They even ordered me to teach him Raikiri, said Kakashi, shaking in anger. Oh, said Haku with her head down, I guess I will go and find someone else. There is no need for that, said Kakashi. Or should I said the Hokage found you a teacher, the best. He did? Asked Haku. Kakashi nodded. Go to the bathhouses and look for a white-haired man with red lines coming from his eyes. He should be sitting on a frog the size of a man. Haku nodded and left to the bathhouses. There she indeed met the said person. To her displeasure, she found out he was a pervert, and he always tried to look at her and tried to implement her in his books, but after using her bloodline on him once, he didn't try anything else. To her pleasure, she found out that he was a Sannin, and he would teach her a good amount of Doton or Right-Un Jutsus depending on what she wanted to learn. Haku settled for Right-Un Jutsus. For a month she learned 2 Right-Un Jutsus, and learned how to use her bloodline to the fullest. Suriidai. 2 months later. 2 months had passed for Naruto, 1 for Haku. He was currently walking down the streets of Suriidai to meet Sajin again. Over the 2 months he learned more about fighting with a sword. He became very skilled. His defense was amazing. A student had problems passing his defense. A newly graduated Shinigami would also have problems, but as the ranks in Shinigami would go up, his defense would be shattered in a matter of seconds. Naruto and Sajin became close friends. They were now like a younger brother and an older brother, the younger being Naruto, and the older Sajin. He had a lot of respect for Sajin. He already dropped the Taicho in his name even when they were in public. He only used the Taicho when they would come across another captain, but Yamamoto was an exception. Of course he would refer to the old man with Sama at the end, but he wouldn't add Taicho to Sajin's name when they were in Yamamoto's presence, and the old man didn't mind. He was quite happy that Sajin and Naruto met and became so close. Naruto had more interactions with Kenpachi and Ichiro. It was painful. When Kenpachi met him again, he immediately attacked Naruto with a wooden stick. Naruto tried to defend himself, but the man was insane and destroyed his defense in a matter of seconds and then beat Naruto to a pulp. Yuichiro continued calling him Spiky and to annoy him. She enjoyed having fun with Naruto, but the boy was always twitching violently when she started pulling his hair or dragging him around. Naruto was broken out of his thoughts when he saw Sajin running up to him, it seemed. Hey Sajin! yelled Naruto waving. Naruto? Asked the captain. What are you doing here? He asked. I was coming to see you. Oh yeah, listen I was called to an urgent meeting, said Sajin. Naruto had sparkles in his eyes. Can I come? He asked. No Naruto, this is not for you to hear, said Sajin, but I want to come and see how things work. Why Naruto, I promise I will be good and keep quiet. Sajin sighed. He nodded to Naruto and took him in his arms and shimmied away. He would explain to Yamamoto and the old man would understand. He always does. That is one more thing that Sajin respected about Yamamoto. As Sajin told Naruto not to speak unless spoken to, they entered a strange room. Everyone was there and all lined up. Yamamoto was at the end of the line. They all looked at Naruto questionably. Is it alright if Naruto attends? Asked Sajin. He won't tell anyone what he heard here, and he will not speak. Yamamoto pondered for a second and then nodded. As long as he keeps quiet about this meeting. Both Naruto and Sajin nodded. Sajin took his place in the lines where he usually stands while Naruto was behind him looking around. There were many captains he didn't know. He heard Yamamoto speaking. Now I have called you here because we have a problem, said Yamamoto. It seems that a mortal has defiled the laws of human and spiritual balance. How was that done? Asked a man with long silver hair. We don't know. All we know is that the Yondaime Hokage of Konoha, the Nidaime Hokage of Konoha and his brother the Shodaime of Konoha spirits have disappeared and re-entered their bodies or temporal bodies, said the old man. There were gasps in the room. One even belonged to Naruto. His father was taken by force out of this place and forced into a body. Also it seems that the one doing this is also trying to gain immortality. That is outrageous, said a captain. I agree, a mortal is not allowed to be immortal, said Aizen. That is the point, said Yamamoto. Therefore we need to do something to this matter. What is that man doing with them? You didn't tell us, asked the captain. It seems he is using them as mindless drones to kill the Sandaime Hokage of Konoha. We cannot let this unbalance to go on. I need Kenpachi and Sajin to go and find a way to send the souls back here. Might I warn you, the disruption between the balance caused for spirits to be seen in the area where the three are. Also if you can eliminate the one responsible of this. The two captains nodded and left. Sajin grabbed Naruto and ran outside. After moving at fast pace they reached the point where they can enter the human world. Sajin put Naruto down and looked at him. Stay here, he said sternly. But Dad is there, said Naruto. I know your dad is there. Me and Kenpachi will bring him back. And with that both he and Kenpachi entered the gateway that was programmed to teleport them right in the middle of the fight. Naruto saw the gateway closing. He couldn't just sit there, and he didn't know what to do, so before he could think straight he ran right through the gateway, ignoring the guards that told him to stop. They tried to go after him but it was too late. The gateway closed. Konoha, warning, summing again. Haku was staring at Gaara, the red-haired boy with a gourd strapped to his back. During the fight with Niji he continued to play his mind games on her, trying to make her weak. He told him about fate and such. Haku nearly lost it when Niji said that she never lost anyone. The girl yelled at him, telling him about his mother and about Naruto. But the boy didn't care, continuing his talk about fate. Haku managed to beat him with her ice mirrors and 2 right-on jutsus that the Sannin had taught her. After that there were 2 more matches. Dosu had been disqualified because he was found dead. Kankuro forfeited. Temari won her battle with Shikamaru, and when Sasuke fought with Gaara he used Chidori on the red-haired boy. The result wasn't good. The boy started to change, but before he could there was an explosion. People were put under Genjutsu and Orochimaru attacked the Hokage. A barrier was created holding everyone outside. Haku was sent to stop Gaara. Right after Sasuke was sent, Shikamaru and Sakura tagged along. After running a little, Shikamaru stopped to delay a group of shinobi. He was later saved by his sensei Asuma. They met Kankuro, who was attacked by Shino. When the girls reached Sasuke, Gaara pinned Sakura to the tree with his sand, trying to constrict her. Haku knew she had to save the girl. She was lucky that she had her ice mirrors. She managed to hold Gaara long, but when he released Shikaku she couldn't do anything. Luckily for her, Jiraiya appeared on top of Gamabunta. He woke up Gaara by giving him a punch. Haku found out the boy's reason to live and tried to convince him that it was a wrong reason. She told him about Naruto, everything, what he carried and how he was treated. Gaara was amazed that there was someone like his but felt sad that he died. He also learned about precious people. Haku had told him what a precious person is and what benefits come to them. She didn't know if he would change because his siblings came and took him away, retreating back to Senogakure. Haku remembered about the Sandaime and told Jiraiya. The man took Haku and dashed away towards the stadium. A few minutes before Jiraiya defeated Shikaku, Sarutobi was amazed and speechless. He was also angry. He was angry that he couldn't stop the 4th coffin from rising. He was angry that Orochimaru, his old student, had brought the other 3 Hokages to fight against him. He was then speechless when 2 men appeared near him, one with a strange helmet and one with spiky hair and bells attached to it. He, like Orochimaru, was amazed when they introduced themselves as Shinigami. Kenpachi looked at the Hokages and then at Orochimaru. You are the one that did this, I suppose? He stated, more than asked. Orochimaru had a sick smile on his face. Yes, I brought the Hokages to fight. You have created a disturbance between the spirit and human world, said Sajin. You are to be executed and the spirits returned to where they belong, said Kenpachi, drawing his Zanpakuto out. The same thing did Sajin. Orochimaru smirked. There are 4 against 3, what can you do? He asked Shinigami, or not you won't win. Just then there was a flash of light, and a blonde boy with white robes similar to a Shinigami's appeared. The Shinigami's eyes and Sarutobi's widened. Naruto! Yelled Sajin, I told you not to follow me. This is nothing you can handle. Naruto? Asked Sarutobi, not believing. Naruto gave the old man a grin. Hey old man, how come you're alive? He asked. I'm not, said Naruto sadly. I am a Shinigami in training, he said, making Sarutobi's eyes widen. Naruto then saw his father. Hey dad! He yelled. The man didn't answer. Dad? He asked again. Orochimaru laughed. He can't hurt you, he is under my control. Let him go, demanded Naruto. Why should I? Asked Orochimaru. But then again, if you are his son, then he will kill you. And with that the Hokages attacked with Orochimaru. Naidame attacked Kenpachi, Shodame attacked Sajin, Orochimaru attacked Sarutobi, and Yandame attacked Naruto. To the boy's horror, Naruto was dodging punches and kicks. He took a glance at the other 2 Shinigami and saw that the Hokages had managed to bring out their Zanpakuto. He didn't know how they did it, but they were holding them. Kenpachi! Yelled Sajin. I know, they brought their Zanpakutos out. How did they do it? He asked. I have no idea. This is too dangerous. Go full force and try to drag their souls out of those bodies, ordered Sajin. Kenpachi sneered. I knew that. He then had a maniacal smile on his face. Let's fight. Naruto turned his attention to Minato. His dad's eyes were dull. He wasn't looking anywhere. He was indeed like a zombie. Minato then started channeling Ryatsu and brought out his Zanpakuto. To the blonde boy's horror, Naruto drew his katana out and parried an attack. Yandame spun behind him and was about to slash him, only to be stopped by Sajin that grabbed the Zanpakuto. I told you this is too dangerous, he said as he saw trees growing on the rooftop of the building. I'm sorry, said Naruto, but I wanted to help. You aren't helping now, yelled Sajin, making Naruto cringe. He wanted to say something, but he heard a slash. He saw that the Shodame had slashed Sajin's back when he wasn't paying attention. Naruto gritted his teeth and jumped to protect his friend. No, don't, yelled Sajin, but it was too late. Naruto attacked Shodame the way Sajin had taught him, but the Hokage was dodging the attacks effortless. He then moved his sword to strike. Naruto parried, but the attack was so powerful it shattered the katana and he managed to cut Naruto on the chest. Sajin's eyes widened and attacked Shodame, kicking him away from the boy. He parried an attack from the back from Yandame and turned around to kick him. He was then cut on the back again by Shodame and kicked out of the way. The Hokage then started to approach Naruto. Yandame intercepted Sajin, blocking his way to Naruto. The blonde boy watched as the Shodame's Zanpakuto was raised ready to kill him. He heard Sajin scream and saw that he had been cut on the stomach when he tried to pass Yandame. He tried to find Kenpachi, but he and Naidame disappeared in the forest created by the Hokage. Sarutobi had his hands full fighting Orochimaru. There was no one to help him or save him now. Naruto saw the blade coming towards him and closed his eyes. A second passed, 2, 3 and then 10 and more. He opened his eyes and saw that time stopped. He looked around and saw Kyuubi approaching with the armored man. They both shook their heads when they looked at Naruto. You should have listened to Sajin, said the armored man. You are a fool, yelled Kyuubi. Are you trying to get us killed again? But I had to come, yelled Naruto back. I had to save father. He could have been saved without you interfering, said the armored man. You don't know that for sure. I said I would protect my precious people, and dad is precious to me and to mom, said Naruto. So you want to protect your precious people? Asked Kyuubi. Tell me, Naruto, what you want to do, said the man. Defeat your enemy? Or protect those precious? Naruto thought for a second before looking with determination. Protect those precious, he said. Are you sure? Asked the man. Yes. Then you shall protect them, with my help, he said, and both he and Kyuubi disappeared. Naruto looked up at the Hokage and saw the blade coming. He moved his hand to try and block the attack with something. Naruto heard the sound of 2 swords hitting each other. He looked and saw one of his Zanpakuto. It was the armored man's Zanpakuto. For this battle you are graded to wield me, but after that there will be a punishment, said a voice in his head that sounded like the armored man's voice. Naruto pushed his Zanpakuto on his enemies. He managed to kick the man and send him back a little, and he stood up and got in defensive position. I will think about his punishment later, thought Naruto. Naruto stood facing his opponent with his Zanpakuto raised to defend himself. His enemy was no one he could take lightly or as a joke. He moved into his defensive position to block the next attacks. His enemy, the Shodame, raised his Zanpakuto and charged to blonde boy. Naruto maintained his defensive position, and when the blade lowered to cut in half, the blonde boy tilted his sword to the side and blocked the attack. The attacker moved his sword back and raised it to hit Naruto from above his head. The blonde boy crouched down and raised his sword to parry. The Shodame kicked the boy in the face while he was crouched, sending him flying away. Naruto landed on his back a few feet away, his Zanpakuto still in his hands. The Shodame disappeared from view only to reappear in front of Naruto. The man lowered his Zanpakuto to strike only to be deflected by the blonde Shinigami's Zanpakuto. The blonde boy moved his leg under the enemy's legs, making him fall down. He used this opportunity to get up and back in his position. When the Shodaime was back on his feet, he charged Naruto again, swinging his Zanpakuto left and right. The blonde boy parried every single attack. Suddenly he saw the Shodaime stop his attacks. He lowered his Zanpakuto only for a second, and then he heard Sajin calling his name. He turned around and saw a yellow blur, and then he felt pain on his back. He fell on his knees and looked behind him. There stood the Yondaime Hokage with his Zanpakuto in his hands, and said blade was covered in blood, the blonde boy's blood. Naruto gritted his teeth and stood up facing the Yondaime. He was about to attack when he heard the Shodaime moving behind him. Now he was in trouble. In the academy they didn't teach them how to defend themselves against two opponents at the same time. Naruto heard the Shodaime coming in from behind. He moved his Zanpakuto over his shoulder to protect his back. The enemy Zanpakuto was parried successfully. The blonde boy spun around and tried to do a vertical slash, but the enemy dodged it. The blonde boy did a back flip and sheathed his Zanpakuto. He brought his hands close and started the incantation. Ye Lord! Mask of blood and flesh, all creation, flutter of wings, ye who bears the name of man. Inferno and pandemonium, the sea barrier surges, march on to the south. Kido 31, shot of red fire. Yelled the blonde Shinigami in training as a ball of red fire accumulated in his palms, and then shot towards the enemy. The two opponents dodged the attack by jumping to the sides. Naruto used this opportunity to grab his Zanpakuto and charge the Shodaime. In the meantime, Sajin managed to intercept Yondaime once again. Naruto tried to slash his opponent several times only to fail miserably. Now the Shodaime spun around and managed to get behind the blonde boy and slash him on the back again. Naruto fell on his knees, taking a deep breath and gritting his teeth. You won't get anywhere by doing this, said a voice in the blonde boy's head. The hell, he will kill us if he fights like this, roared the fox outraged. Shut up, furball, I'm doing all I can, retorted Naruto. What you are doing isn't good enough. You are getting us killed again. Perhaps I can be of assistance. Move as I tell you, Naruto, the armored man said. Naruto nodded and stood up once again facing his opponent. The Shodaime charged the blonde boy, which raised his sword to parry the attack. The opponent disappeared once again from view. Behind you, said the armored man. Naruto moved his Zanpakuto behind him, parrying the attack, and he turned around and grabbed the hilt of the sword with his left hand and clenched it. The Shodaime once again attacked, delivering blows with his Zanpakuto left and right. Each attack was successfully parried by Naruto with the help of the armored man that was giving him instructions. Kyubi, give him you Zanpakuto now, said the armored man. Why would I do that? He asked to defend, but he cannot remain in defense forever. This is where you come in, said the armored man calmly. Naruto moved his left hand away from his Zanpakuto. In a matter of seconds, Kyubi's Zanpakuto formed in the blonde boy's hand. Naruto looked at the two swords, not knowing what to do, as he never fought dual wield before. His thoughts were broken as he heard someone coming towards him fast. He looked up and saw the Shodaime attacking again. The blonde boy moved the armored man's Zanpakuto up and parried the attack. Then, acting using his instinct, he moved Kyubi's Zanpakuto, managing to cut the enemy on the chest. His enemy jumped back and then attacked again. Naruto, listening to both Kyubi and the man giving him instructions, attacked the Shodaime using his right Zanpakuto. The armored man's one, to defend himself and block every attack, and with the left Zanpakuto, Kyubi's one, he was trying to hit the enemy. The blonde boy tried to slash his enemy again. The Shodaime ducked and jumped back. He then spun around trying to chop the boy's head off. Naruto tilted his head to the side, avoiding the attack, and then pushed his Zanpakuto forward to try and stab the enemy in the stomach. The Shodaime moved his Zanpakuto, parrying the attack, and then he grabbed his Zanpakuto with both hands and started swinging it towards the boy, who was moving backwards, dodging and parrying. When Naruto had enough of moving backwards, he brought Kyubi's Zanpakuto up, parrying an attack, and then with the armored man's Zanpakuto he managed to cut the Shodaime on the chest. The Shodaime jumped away from the boy and started analyzing him to try and find a weak point. Naruto used this opportunity to try and hit his enemy with another Kido attack. White lightning, he called out as he pointed towards the Shodaime, and a bolt of lightning shot out. The enemy jumped away, avoiding the attack. Once again the blonde boy used this to his advantage. He charged the enemy while he was still in air and tried to slash him with Kyubi's Zanpakuto. What he didn't expect to happen was for the Shodaime to disappear once again from view, only to reappear behind Naruto and stab him in the back. Naruto let out a cry of pain as he collapsed on the ground and his Zanpakutos disappeared. The blonde boy was now unconscious. The 7th Division's captain heard the cry and looked over to Naruto, his eyes narrowing. A few moments ago the blonde boy was keeping up with his enemy, and now he was on the ground unconscious and the enemy was approaching to deliver the killing blow. Sajin kicked the Yondaime away and charged the Shodaime. He managed to reach the boy in time, blocking the attack. He pushed his Zanpakuto against the Shodaime's, forcing him to lose balance. He then jumped in the air and cut the body of the Shodaime in two. The two parts of the body fell on the ground and the Shodaime's spirit appeared over it. What the hell? He asked. What happened? Don't you remember? Asked the massive man. The Shodaime shook his head. No, watch out, he yelled as he saw the Yondaime coming in from the behind trying to kill the captain. Sajin saw the blonde man with the corner of his eyes. He brought his Zanpakuto behind him and parried the attack, and he then grabbed the Yondaime's arm and threw him over his shoulder and decapitated him. Again, like the Shodaime, The blonde man's spirit came out looking like he didn't remember anything. A few seconds later, Kenpachi came out of the trees with night aim behind him. "Naruto!" yelled Minato as he saw his boy on the ground in a pool of blood. "Kenpachi, terminate the snake. I will take the boy back to Soul Society," said Sajin, picking up Naruto. Kenpachi was looking for Orochimaru. "I'm going to make a new snakeskin bag," he said as he ran towards Sarutobi and Orochimaru. The fox man opened the way to Siriidai and walked through, followed by the 3 Hokages. Scene change. Naruto was in his mindscape facing the 2 souls. They were very displeased. At first they were displeased that the boy didn't listen to the captain's order to stay behind and not follow them. They were also displeased because Naruto had failed to defend himself or slay his opponent. He had given his enemy an opening behind him. The blonde boy was looking around, trying to avoid the gaze, the glare the 2 souls were directing to him. He could hear Kyuubi growling in annoyance, and he could hear a sigh from the armored man. "All right, Naruto," said the armored man, "it's time for your punishment." "Nani?" yelled Naruto. "You first failed to listen to your superior's order, and then you failed to defeat your enemy and defend yourself," growled Kyuubi. "But I had to try and save father," complained Naruto. "Try or not, he was in capable hands. You just made the situation direr when you entered the battlefield." The armored man scowled. "Yeah, but..." "No," said the man. "Clearly a man must never go into battle unprepared. That means you cannot go and fight someone more powerful than you without proper training and without a Zanpakuto," roared Kyuubi. "But I did have a Zanpakuto and decent training." "You had basic training. And you had the Zanpakuto because we will not stand here and let you die taking me away with you for the second time," boomed the massive fox. The armored man nodded. "There is no way in trying to find an apology, or anything like that, because it won't work. The only thing that will work is a punishment. Therefore," said the armored man, closing his eyes and then opening them again. When the armored man opened his eyes, he was holding both his and Kyuubi's Zanpakutos. He threw them in the air and they scattered in the forest in 2 directions. The man looked at the blonde boy. "Now this is your punishment," the man said. Said Naruto, scratching the back of his head. "What am I supposed to do?" he asked. "You will need to find the 2 Zanpakuto to wake up. Easy. While Kyuubi chases you and beats you on the way." "What?" Kyuubi grinned. "I'm going to love this. Kyuubi will be as tall as a dog," said the man, making the fox growl at the dog part. "He will begin from here beside me and you from there, in front of us." "Wait, don't I get a saying in this?" asked Naruto, afraid. The man looked at Naruto. "No," he put it bluntly. "Begin." With that, Kyuubi became smaller and dashed towards Naruto to capture him. The blonde boy narrowed his eyes and jumped away, avoiding one of Kyuubi's claws. He dashed away, disappearing behind some bushes. Kyuubi laughed and started running after the boy. The armored man shook his head and started walking casually after the 2. The blonde boy was running like his life depended on it. In fact, he didn't know for sure if his life really did depend on it. All he knew was that there was a 9-tailed fox on his trail trying to claw his and chew him like he was some sort of toy. On the other hand, Kyuubi was having fun chasing the boy as punishment. He couldn't have thought of a better way to punish him. "Can't we talk this over?" asked Naruto desperately. "No, find the Zanpakutos or feel my claws," said the fox, grinning manically. Naruto now didn't have any choice whatsoever. He had to find the Zanpakutos before Kyuubi got his claws on him. He shivered thinking of what the fox would do to him. He remembered that back when he was still alive the fox threatened to eat him. Remembering that didn't prove to be the best of best because it only made him shiver more at the thought of Kyuubi managing to capture him. The blonde boy heard Kyuubi closing in on him and started running faster and faster till he tripped over something. He fell flat on his face and looked behind him to see the object of his fall. His eyes rested on one of the Zanpakutos, the armored man's Zanpakuto to be more precise. Suddenly the boy heard something jump out of the bushes. He looked up to the sky and saw Kyuubi falling from the sky towards him. "Here I come!" yelled Kyuubi happily. Naruto's eyes widened. Moving fast, he grabbed the Zanpakuto by the hilt and raised it above his head to parry Kyuubi's claws. The blonde boy closed his eyes and felt something heavy land on the blade. He opened his eyes and saw that he managed to move the Zanpakuto to parry the claws. He could hear Kyuubi scowling and saying something about being unfair that the boy found one of the swords so fast. Kyuubi shook his head and moved his tails, grabbing the boy. He started spinning him around and then he let him go, making him fly towards a nearby tree. The blonde boy hit the tree full on. He fell on the ground and started massaging his face. "What the hell was that for?" he asked, glaring at Kyuubi. Said fox just shrugged. "You still have one more Zanpakuto to find." Naruto gulped and jumped on his feet. He started running through the forest again with Kyuubi behind him. The chase lasted for several hours. To say that Kyuubi had fun was an understanding. The fox managed to claw the blonde boy several times. Other times the blonde boy managed to defend himself with the Zanpakuto. And then there were the times when the blonde boy managed to trip on several rocks. In the end, much to Kyuubi's displeasure, the boy found the second Zanpakuto. Now the blonde boy was standing in front of his 2 souls once again. The Zanpakutos returned to the 2. The man was staring at Naruto thinking while the fox was looking pretty bored. Finally the man spoke. "Alright, you did well for now," he said, making Naruto sigh in relief. "But I never did say that you are done." "What do you mean?" "Your punishment isn't over." Naruto's eyes widened. "What?" he asked. "Alright, now I want you to do 500 push-ups with Kyuubi on your back. 500 sit-ups, and we will think about some more later. Naruto started shivering while Kyuubi had a grin plastered on his face. 4th Division Barracks. A blonde boy was lying on one of the beds in the 4th Division's treatment room. Said boy had been wounded during the battle with Shodain in Konoha. The blonde boy had disobeyed his superior's command to stay behind and not get involved, thus leading to his current status. The blonde boy was none other than Uzumaki Naruto. Naruto was lucky for being unconscious, in a way at least. He didn't hear his father's scowls and his mother's yells when they had visited him, but if he was awake he would have heard what was waiting for him when he would get home. Another thing he didn't hear was that his parents, despite the fact that they were mad about what he did, were also proud that he wanted to help with such a matter. Also he would have heard how worried they were. Another person that visited him, or more, were his roommates Rukia and Rinji that heard of what happened. They heard from Obito, who felt it was right for the blonde boy's friends to know, but other than them no one else from the academy knew, and no one else except for high-ranking Shinigamis. If Naruto was awake when the two had visited him he would have heard both of them saying he was a baka to not listen to a captain's order. The truth is that the two were happy that Naruto got out safe, but at first they were concerned when they heard what happened. Sajin, the captain of the 7th Division, had also visited. His visit was long and silent, and he didn't speak either because he didn't want to or that he didn't feel like he wanted to speak. Another reason was that he didn't know what to say. He already told Naruto that he was a fool for not listening to him. He had told him to stay behind. He was worried for his well-being. The blonde boy had become a close person to him, and he would have hated to see him die. Right now, like all the other days in the week that had passed, the 7th Division's captain was in the seat next to Naruto's bed. In the same room stood Kenpachi as well, who had his eyes closed thinking about who knows what. And there was also someone else there lying in a bed next to Naruto's. The three people in the room were talking amongst each other. "How long do you think he will remain unconscious?" asked the man in the room. Kenpachi shrugged. "He has been out for a week, maybe a few more," the man sighed. "I remember when he was brought into the hospital back in Konoha all bruised up. He paused for a second. Even when he had dire wounds he still didn't stay out more than 3 days. Strong kid if you asked me," Kenpachi said indifferent. "It is more than that. He had something inside of him. If you are talking about the fox we all know, well, those that are close to the boy, he told us," said Kenpachi. "So he did tell someone after all," the man said smiling. Kenpachi nodded and looked at the humanoid fox. "Are you going to say something or just stand there watching the boy like always?" Said person didn't respond or move. He continued to watch the boy like he would wake up any second. In fact, he hoped that Naruto wouldn't stay out for too much because he already lost a week from the academy, and it was becoming harder and harder to lie to the students about what happened. Yamamoto had told everyone that Naruto was taken by the 7th Division's captain and the boy's father outside of Soul Society to look for something of interest. It was a good lie, especially when they said that it was from the boy's home village. Everyone knew that Naruto still remembered his life before death, so they bought the story. Kenpachi frowned. "He should wake up. Yamamoto-sama wants to give him his punishment already." "You can't rush it," the man said. "Tell me, why were you sad of dying?" asked the spiky-haired captain. The man sighed. "It's because I don't know what will happen to someone in Left Behind and how my grandson will react." Flashback. Sarutobi was looking at Orochimaru, who was yelling in pain. He had managed to burn one of his arms to a scale that he wouldn't be able to use it anymore, and the Shinigami had cut his other arm. The snake Sannin was cursing. He had already managed to inflict a fatal wound on the 3rd Hokage. The Sound 4 appeared and grabbed Orochimaru, running away. Sarutobi fell on the ground and closed his eyes. He heard the Anbu appearing next to him and calling out for him. He wanted to talk, but he felt too tired. Then suddenly he felt like he can more and walk again. But there was a difference. He was looking over his body and he had a broke chain attached to his chest. The Shinigami that had helped him was standing next to him looking disappointed. Maybe it was because he didn't manage to kill Orochimaru. Then again, maybe it was because of something else. "So," said Kenpachi, "we should go." "Where?" the Sandame asked. "Soul Society, of course, or as you call it here, heaven." "Now let's go and don't ask questions. The blonde kid asked so many I don't want to answer again," complained Kenpachi. Sarutobi nodded and looked towards the village of Konoha. Sadly, he sighed. "I wonder how everyone will react." The captain raised an eyebrow. "What do you mean?" "Oh, nothing," said the Hokage, shaking his head. "Stay safe, Haku," he said as Kenpachi performed the soul burial on him. A few moments later he would find himself in Soul Society, and he would learn everything about Shinigami and such. End flashback. "I just hope they won't take it too hard," the elderly Hokage said. "They will get over it in time," said a new voice. Everyone looked at the door and saw old man Yamamoto and Minato standing there. "Hey, old man," said Minato towards Sarutobi. "Happily," said old man sighed. "You are just like your son. When will you learn respect?" The Yandame looked like he was thinking. "Maybe in a few more years?" he asked, curious. Everyone in the room shook their heads. "How is the boy?" asked Yamamoto. "He is still sleeping," came the response from Sarutobi. "Or he may be waking up," said Sajin. Everyone looked at Naruto and saw that indeed the boy started stirring. The blonde boy slowly and lazily opened his eyes and looked around the room. He realized that he was in the hospital, or something close to it, and groaned. He sat up and then realized that there were other people in the room. Naruto looked around and saw his father. He smiled and called him out. "Hey Dad, how are you?" he asked cheerfully. The blonde man nodded. "Good, but the question is how are you? I feel like my body hurts," he said. "That's because you got stabbed in the back and slashed several times with a Zanpakuto baka," yelled the yondaime. "Hey, it's not my fault you got your ass captured," retorted Naruto. "Oh, you mean it's my fault that Orochimaru used a forbidden jutsu to drag me out there?" Naruto scoffed and turned around. It was then that he saw the elderly Hokage. "Hey Gigi," the blonde boy said cheerfully, "how come you are here?" "Orochimaru managed to kill me by poisoning me with the grass cutter," said Sarutobi. "Oh," responded the blonde boy sadly. "Amaji-san?" "Yes, Naruto?" the old man said. "Do you know how Haku-chan is?" asked Naruto. The old man smiled at the boy. "She is fine though she misses you like everyone else." "Really?" the blonde boy asked. Sarutobi nodded. "I just hope that the council won't do anything stupid now that I am dead." "What do you mean?" Minato asked. Sarutobi let out a sigh. "They at first wanted to kill Zabuza because he is an A-ranked criminal, but I took both he and Haku under my protection," the elderly Hokage said. "Now I don't know what they will do." "Typical for the council to do that. I bet that Danzo is part of this," said Minato, irritated. Sarutobi nodded. "Yes, he is, but he is only a small part from the whole." "You mean that there are more?" "It seems that after the Uchiha massacre the elders, my older teammates, took side with Danzo." Minato sighed. "Should have figured out that this would happen eventually." While the two Hokages were talking to each other, Yamamoto approached Naruto, taking a seat near the fox man. Kenpachi was leaning closer to hear what the old man would say to the blonde boy. He had been eager to find out how he was going to be punished. Not that he wanted for Naruto to be punished, but it was necessary to teach him that he should listen to orders. "Naruto," said old man Yamamoto calmly, "you know what you did?" The blonde boy nodded. "I disrespected an order from a higher rank and a friend." "Indeed you have. You made me very angry with your performance," scowled the 7th Division captain. "Sorry," apologized the blonde boy. "I know you are sorry, Naruto, but you do know what your actions brought to you?" Yamamoto asked. Naruto pondered for a second. "Well, apart from the fact that I was punished by my Zanpakuto's souls, I guess I have another punishment coming for me?" Yamamoto and the two captains blinked. "Wait, you mean that your Zanpakuto's souls punished you?" asked Sajin. Naruto nodded. "They didn't like the fact that I disobeyed you and almost got myself killed. Anyway," said Yamamoto, "there is a punishment for what you did. Is it bad?" "Well, you decide. Since you aren't a fully fledged Shinigami yet, and you have great potential, we cannot kick you out of the academy." Naruto sighed in relief when he heard that. "But we need to give you a punishment, therefore for the next half a year you will scrub the toilets in the academy and run errands for Kenpachi and Sajin here," said Yamamoto. Naruto cringed for a couple of reasons. First of all, he will scrub toilets, all that filth and so on. And second, he will have to see Kenpachi on a regular basis. That means that he will end up in the hospital on a regular basis. "I am sorry, but even this is too little, but we cannot think of anything else," said Yamamoto. "I hope you will learn your lesson even though I know you already learned it." Naruto nodded. "I think I understand." "Good, now get some rest because you are going back to the academy tomorrow." Naruto nodded and lay back on the bed looking at the ceiling and thinking of what will happen tomorrow. Next day. Today was not Naruto's day, not at all. Things were going from bad to worse. When he arrived in the classroom, everyone asked where he was, so he had to lie. And then when Obito came, he started scowling him even though the class didn't understand why. Secondly, the Uchiha gave them an unannounced test just to spice the day a little. Naruto was starting to get really annoyed with Obito. "Sensei," called Naruto as he ran up to his sensei after class. "Yes, Naruto?" asked the sensei, turning around. "Why did you give us the test? Was it because of me?" he asked. Obito grinned. "Well, I figured that scowling you won't be enough, so yeah, it was because of you." Naruto gritted his teeth. "Oh, come on, I said I wouldn't do it again," he yelled, annoyed. "That I know, but this is punishment that your mother demanded," he said. "My mom?" asked the blonde, confused. "Well, you see, she was so worried, she didn't know how to punish you, but she figured that a surprise test would be good, so she asked me," he explained happily. Naruto's sweat dropped at his sensei. "And you are happy because of that?" "Well, yes," he responded. "I also wanted to punish you in a way, and I found that giving you a test would be just fit." "Great. You know I had to do this. It was a way to teach you that you don't need to rush into stuff." "How do you think I died?" he asked. Naruto scratched the back of his head. "Rushing into the action? Good, now you know, and you also know what not to do," said Obito as he turned around and left. After that, things became worse when Kenpachi showed up and beat Naruto, who didn't stand a chance in defending himself. But why he had shown up in the first place, to deliver the scrub, Naruto had forgotten to take. So with that, Kenpachi dragged him to the first toilet in the academy, and threw him in, telling him that he will not come out till the toilet shinned. "Kenpachi Taishu," whined Naruto. "No," said Kenpachi, looking at the ceiling. "Oh, come on, I don't feel so good," said Naruto, who indeed was turning green after 2 hours of scrubbing. "You look fine to me," said the captain, still gazing at the ceiling. "But you didn't even look at me," yelled Naruto. "Want another round of fighting?" asked Kenpachi, whose eyes were shining at the thought. The blonde boy's sweat dropped. No, I think I'll stick to scrubbing the toilets," he said, doubling his scrubbing speed, and Kenpachi frowned that the boy didn't want to go a second round. A few hours later, Naruto didn't look good at all. He was looking really green. Kenpachi knew why. No one liked to scrub toilets. It was anyone's worst nightmare. But this was his punishment, and he couldn't do anything against it. But after he finished his work, the spiky-haired man dragged Naruto outside where his second part of torture for the day awaited. Upon arriving outside, they were greeted by none other than Yuichiro, who started scowling Naruto in a cute way and then pulling his hair like she always does. This resulted in the loss of the blonde's hair. The girl had pulled his hair so hard that she managed to actually rip more than a few pieces of hair out. Now the blonde boy was forced to wear a cap to hide the fact that he was missing hair. Despite all that, the day ended a little better. The last person he had to see for his punishment was Sajin. Said man was supposed to give him errands to do. The fox man gave him instructions to run around the compound delivering messages and telling people about this and that. It wasn't all that bad, but it was a bit tiring since Sajin had told him that he needed to work fast. Once he came back from delivering a message, he would have to deliver a new one. Another thing Naruto was told to do was to scrub the floor in the 7th Division's barracks. Naruto, of course, didn't finish. Heck, he didn't even did half of the place, only about 5% or so. The place was big, really big, and one boy couldn't do anything like that. After all that, Naruto was now heading back to the academy to either get some rest or do his unfinished homework. "You there?" said someone. Naruto turned around and saw himself facing a captain, a woman to be exact. She had black eyes and matching black hair. She looked like a cold person, even acted like one. "Who are you and what are you doing here late at night?" she demanded. Naruto bowed. "Uzumaki Naruto, second-year academy student. I was a Sajin Taisha running errands." The woman raised an eyebrow. "So you are the boy that got himself in that mess?" "Yeah," the captain sneered. "I think you learned not to disrespect an order now." "Oh, I learned all right," said the blonde boy, twitching. How much he hated people like her. I don't think I got your name, Taicho." "That's because I never told it to you," she said. "Yes, I know that," mocked Naruto. The woman was taken a little by surprise that a mere academy student had the guts to stand up. She grinned. "My name is Soifun, captain of the 2nd Division. A pleasure to meet you, Soifun Taishu," said the blonde Shinigami, bowing down once again. "Tell me," she said, "is it true you are the boy that has 2 Zanpakuto each with a different soul?" she asked, kneeing at his level. "Yes, that's me. Why do you ask?" "Just curious," she said, turning her head. "You know, I heard of your performance out there." Naruto raised an eyebrow. "My performance?" "Yes, I heard that a second-year student fought with a third seat and managed to even hit him," Soifun responded. The blonde boy scratched the back of his head sheepishly. "Well, it wasn't that hard." "That hard? Do you know you faced a third seat?" "Third seat?" "Yes, Shodame is the 3rd in the 1st Division, Yandame is the 4th in the 2nd Division, and Nidame is the 4th in the 1st Division," explained Soifun. Now the boy understood. "I guess it was luck." The woman shook her head. "Doubt that. I can feel you are strong." "Well, I don't know. I mean, my Zanpakutos did help me." Soifun nodded. "Figures, after all you had little skill on your own." "Hey!" shouted Naruto, "don't underestimate me. I was a great ninja when I was alive." "I never heard of you being so great," she said. "Well, I would have if I wasn't killed early in my career," retorted the blonde boy. Soifun shrugged. "Anyway, as I was saying, you are strong, but if you act before you think, you will only get killed." "Yeah, I figured that out the hard way," said Naruto, scratching his head. "Yes, but if you think before acting, you will work 100%, you will be unstoppable." "Hey, you're right," said the blonde boy cheerfully. "I know. Now you should go back to the academy before someone else sees you and does what I didn't do," she said sternly. "And that would be?" asked Naruto. "Make your punishment worse than it is." Naruto gulped. "Right, thank you, Soifun Taishu," said the boy, bowing and running away. Soifun shook her head. "Why do I feel the boy will change a lot of things?" she asked herself. The years were coming to an end. Naruto finished his punishments in 1 week and then went back to doing what he did best, study and pranking. Despite the fact that the blonde Shinigami passed through so many, he managed to stay on top of the class. He was already labeled a prodigy, something new to the boy as he never gained that title before. Passing the second year wasn't as hard as he thought it would be. He had to fight with standard katanas against an opponent that the teacher would call, and then he would have to display his Kido techniques. The blonde boy became the defensive Shinigami. Obito was impressed on how the boy evolved. If he were to stay in defensive, nothing would break through. So far, only Shinigami from the 10th seed up would break through his defense, but only after some time. The ones from 5th seed up would break faster. The only one that broke through the blonde's defense with just one hit was none other than Kenpachi. After the fighting display, most people would have thought that Naruto would give up on trying creating the prefect defense. You see, after the little incident, the blonde realized that he was meant to defend people precious to him, and not go into battle without being sure that he could not defend anyone. He vowed that he would create the perfect defense, one that not even Kenpachi would break. At first, his so-called great defense was shattered in a matter of seconds by almost anyone, but because of his vow, he continued to advance. Before the end of the second year, Naruto challenged Sajin to try and break his defense. The captain was surprised that the blonde boy asked something like that, but saw this as an opportunity to see how Naruto had evolved in time. Of course, the battle was kept secret. Only those from the 7th Division knew of the battle and attended. They were impressed of what happened, heck they were shocked. Flashback. Naruto stood facing Kamamura analyzing him. He had been allowed to call forth his Zanpakuto. The blonde boy called only one out of the two, the one with which he defends himself. The blonde boy assumed a simple defensive position, one that had many gaps and openings. This surprised everyone. Why would he choose such a weak defense, they thought amongst themselves. Sajin stood watching Naruto as he was waiting for the attack to come. The captain unsheathed his Zanpakuto and started spinning it in his hand. Are you sure you want to fight like that? He asked. The blonde boy stood silent, his eyes full of determination. He didn't say anything. He just gave a small nod while watching the captain in front of him. You know that what you choose is a weak defense, continued Sajin, trying to see where the blonde was going. There is no such thing as a weak defense, responded the blonde, bringing his Zanpakuto above his head and holding the edge of the blade with 2 fingers. Let's see if you are right, responded the fox captain as he charged forward. The timer started. Sajin moved his Zanpakuto to strike from above. Naruto moved his right foot to the left, tilted his Zanpakuto a little to the side, blocking the attack. The 7th Division's captain brought his Zanpakuto back and moved it to the left. The blonde boy let go of the blade and grabbed the hilt with his right hand and brought the blade down to his right side, blocking the attack. Sajin gave a nod, saying he was impressed. Good so far, time? He demanded. 10 seconds, Taicho, responded a Shinigami. The captain nodded and looked at Naruto. I shall end this, he said as he spun behind Naruto and moved his sword behind him, and then moved it forward to stab the blonde in the back. Naruto tilted his head to the side and changed his defensive position. He moved the blade behind him, blocking the attack. He kicked Sajin in the stomach and sent him backwards. The blonde boy turned to face his opponent. He stood up straight, then he bent down. His right leg was in front and his left leg behind him. He brought his sword near his stomach and waited. His defensive stance changed. Just by looking, it seemed like a floss stance. It seemed to be more of an offensive stance. Kamamura raised an eyebrow. He shrugged and charged forward. He raised his Zanpakuto. He turned the blade to the side and moved it to strike from the blonde's back. Naruto threw his Zanpakuto in front, grabbing the hilt with his right hand. He moved it to his back and blocked the attack without moving his body at all, only his hands. Sajin was intrigued. He tried to move his leg to sweep the blonde's legs to make him fall. The blonde boy turned his Zanpakuto 90 degrees, forcing the captain's Zanpakuto to turn as well, and planted both Zanpakuto in the ground right in front of the captain's leg, nearly hitting it. Everyone watched, amazed at what the blonde did. They were even more amazed as the blonde boy didn't even move his eyes. He just seemed to feel what his opponent's next move would be. Time, said Sajin. 40 seconds, Taicho, came the response. Kamamura nodded and frowned. Last time he defeated the blonde boy in 30 seconds, now he was having some trouble. The blonde boy didn't even seem to sweat, and last time he was panting. What happened next no one realized before it was too late. The blonde boy raised his left leg up behind him, kicking Kamamura in the head and making him fall down. Yes, the captain was taken by surprise and didn't react in time. The blonde boy moved his body facing Sajin in the same position. The perfect defense? He asked. Sajin grinned. Not quite, I saw a flaw. With that he disappeared and reappeared at Naruto's left side right next to his leg. He moved the Zanpakuto to strike from above once again. The blonde brought his Zanpakuto in front of him again and turned the blade to face Sajin. He raised it above his head and blocked the attack. The captain spun in the air and moved his leg to kick the blonde in his back. Naruto let his body drop in the front and the captain flew above him. He landed in front of Naruto, and before the blonde boy could move his body back, he was kicked in the chin, being sent flying away and landing on his back. The Shinigami, keeping the time, paused the watch. He looked at the watch and then reported. 1 minute and 2 seconds, Taicho, he said. The captain shook his head. I have to admit the stance was better than the last. The blonde boy got up on his feet and scowled. But not perfect, he said as his Zanpakuto disappeared. Naruto, you don't have to beat yourself just because of that, responded the captain. It was a good defense. It took me a minute to take you down, but you still did, said Naruto as he started walking away. Until I get the perfect defensive position, I won't stop, he finished as he left the 7th Division's training grounds, trying to find another position. Sajin shook his head. I swear, that Nindo of him might kill him one day. Taicho, said a Shinigami, is it possible for him to get a perfect defensive position? The captain looked at the sky. Yes, he said, I know he can. End flashback. It was a minute of fighting. He managed to keep the captain at bay for an entire minute, but that wasn't enough for Naruto. He wanted more. He wanted to make sure that he creates one that nobody can break it. That position was good because he could turn his blade and block any attack coming from any direction. But he moved too slowly. He didn't straighten his body fast enough. The news about the battle spread amongst the captains and their vice-captains. They were all impressed that Naruto had actually managed to keep his ground for a minute against the 7th Division's captain. But Kenpachi wasn't too impressed. He said that he will only be impressed when the blonde will be able to stand his ground against him for at least 10 minutes. Of course, what Kenpachi said had been heard by Naruto, and he made it his goal to train so hard as to stand those 10 minutes and impress the captain. Obito was the one that told Naruto, and he was also the one that dedicated most of his time to make sure that the blonde boy achieves what he wants. Naruto and Obito trained after the academy hours for a long time. They fought using academy katanas and Naruto tried and tried to perfect his stance. Even though he could stand up to a Beto for more than 5 minutes, he couldn't stand up to a captain for more than a minute. He knew that for sure. Other than all this, both Naruto and Renji received news that they wanted to take with happiness, but deep inside they didn't take it too well. After they both found out that they passed the second exam, they wanted to tell Rukia the good news. Flashback. Out of the way, Renji, I'm telling Rukia first. Naruto shouted as he and Renji ran down a hall at the Shinigami Academy at breakneck speed, nearly running down students on many an occasion. No way, Naruto, I am. Renji shouted back. What they were wanting to tell Rukia is that they both just passed their second exam and were that much closer to becoming Shinigami. Eat dirt, Renji! Yelled the blonde as he put his hand on Renji's head and pushed him down, making him fall on the ground. Hey! Yelled Renji as he got up. You cheater! Naruto laughed as he ran all his fair in competitions. He responded, sticking out his tongue. A vein appeared on the red head as he got up and ran after Naruto, yelling for him. Naruto reached the end of the hall before Renji. He pushed open the door and shouted as loud as his lounges could take. Rukia, we passed the exam! He yelled. Just then Renji appeared. Yeah, and huh? They both looked ahead. They saw Rukia but also 2 Shinigami and 2 noble-looking people. Then the older nobleman spoke. It seems our meeting has been interrupted. Oh well, we expect your answer within the week, Miss Rukia. They then began to leave. The younger of the nobles had an enormous spiritual pressure that made both Renji and Naruto avert their eyes. The younger of the nobles stopped near Naruto and looked at him. The blonde boy blinked and looked in the man's eyes. It was hard. He could feel that the man's eyes were pushing him down, that they were trying to defeat his will to stand. The blonde boy felt his legs starting to shake. You're Uzumaki, the man stated. The blonde boy nodded dumbly. The man closed his eyes. We will meet again, he said as he walked out the door. This spirit pressure is so strong I can't even look at him straight. Who is he? Renji thought. Hey Rukia, those were some pretty important looking visitors you had there. Sorry for the intrusion. That was the Kuchiki family. They want to adopt me as their daughter, and I'll graduate immediately. I don't know what to do, Rukia said. I'll tell you what to do. You say yes, Rukia, Renji exclaimed as he grabbed her shoulders. Ah man, you are so lucky. Hee. I wonder what kind of food nobles eat. Wow, said Naruto. Both Renji and Rukia turned to look at him. That guy, I have no words to describe the feeling, he said. Naruto, Rukia whispered. Huh? Asked Naruto. He looked at Rukia and gave her a soft smile. If you want to go, you go. This is a golden chance. Just don't forget about us, alright? He asked. Thank you, both of you, Rukia said as she hugged both of the boys and held them close. Don't worry, Rukia, and remember we're here for you, said Naruto, grinning. Rukia nodded and ran out the door. A single tear dropped from her eyes. Both Renji and Naruto looked down at the ground. Do you said Renji, do you think we did the right thing? He asked, looking at Naruto. The blonde boy tilted his head to the side and looked at the door with the corner of his eyes. I hope so, he said with a pause, but we must keep in mind, she has to be happy. Renji nodded and sighed. He sat down on his bed looking at the ground. Naruto walked to his desk and sat in the chair thinking, or at least he tried, but nothing passed his mind. And flashback. Actually, it had been hard for them, even for Naruto that had gotten attached to Rukia as a friend. Sure, she was loud sometimes, but she had a motive every time she yelled or called the idiots. The next year just wasn't the same after she left. It was too depressing. During the 3rd year, Naruto had to study with his father. At first he thought it would suck and he would be humiliated because he knew that most teachers that have their children in their class favor them. But he was amazed when he saw that Minato didn't favor him. During class he was treated like any other student. In fact, he didn't call Naruto son at all during the classes. The blonde boy had to admit that his father was one of a kind. First he gives you a shitty life, then he transforms the afterlife in a beautiful place. Or at least sometimes. Also, he had to admit that everything his father taught him during the 3rd year was incredible. The new moves he had learned. Everything was just incredible. Naruto even learned a little hand-to-hand combat in case he would get disarmed. He learned a lot of Kido. In fact, it seemed he knew everything there was in the book now. But there might be some missing from his book. He knew that his father might have left some stuff out. In 1 year he even received training from his mother. He learned that she specialized in Kido practice. She had a large library and Naruto would just absorb anything she taught him like a sponge. Kushina was amazed her son was capable of learning so much and so fast. He was a sponge, literary. Strangely, the blonde's mother even taught him how to cook. It wasn't the most interesting thing for Naruto, but when he found out that he could use this as a method to cook ramen, he accepted his mother's teachings, and after he was done and mastered the art of cooking, he started cooking ramen. And of course that resulted in daily visits by Minato, as he was addicted to that stuff as well. All had gone well till Minato went missing on too many occasions, and when Kushina went to see what her husband was doing, she saw what Naruto was cooking and what exactly the blonde man was eating behind her back. She beat Minato hard. Very hard, and Naruto, well, she left him with harsh words and a glare that made Naruto gulp and realize that the next time she won't be so nice. But now, it was the end of the 3rd year. He was going to have to take another test, and this one proved to be the hardest. He couldn't fail. This test would show his skill as a Shinigami. Well, not entirely, but he had to get a score above 90 to pass, really strange. It seems that all of a sudden Soul Society wanted only strong Shinigami with perfect scores. The blonde thought that what they wanted was stupid, those that are weak now evolve into strong people later. But he couldn't complain, he had to stick to the rules. So now Naruto was running with Rinji down the streets of Suriidai to one of the portals that would take them to the real world for robotic hollow hunting. A third year would have to take down one robotic hollow in 5 minutes and return. The longer it takes, the more points he loses. The more injuries he has, the more points he loses once again. Hey Naruto, said Rinji as they were running carrying standard katanas, only that Naruto had his defensive Zanpakuto instead of the standard katana. What is it, Rinji? The blonde boy asked. How come you get to use your Zanpakuto? He asked with slight envy. Naruto frowned. Ever since Kenpachi Taisha said what he said, I have been training, and when this exam came I requested to be allowed to use my defensive Zanpakuto from Yamamoto-sama, and he granted me that. For training purposes? Asked Rinji. The blonde boy nodded. I am allowed to have my defensive Zanpakuto to perfect my defensive stance while taking the test. It's like a double test for me. The red-haired boy grinned. Sucks to take a double test. Baka! Yelled Naruto. The second part is what I made to perfect myself. Rinji shrugged. Whatever, just don't lose an arm, he said with a grin. Naruto scoffed, and turned his head to the side. They continued running until they reached the portal. The rest of the students were there, about 60 or more. They all looked at Naruto, and saw his Zanpakuto. A student turned to the instructors and raised his hand. Why does Uzumaki get to use his Zanpakuto? He asked. Naruto looked to see who the instructors were. One of them was surprisingly his father. To his left was the 2nd Division's captain, Soifun, and to his right was a bald guy. Soifun opened her eyes. He has a second test from Yamamoto-sama, and he has to use his Zanpakuto. The students talked between themselves, wondering what test Naruto had to take. They felt sorry now for Naruto, as they knew that not only he had to kill a robot hollow but to pass another test as well. Alright, said the bald man, the test is like this. Once you get in the living world you need to find the hollow which is somewhere in the forest. We will take the exam. You will have a communicator on you in case something happens. If you engage more than 2 robots, call for help, as they robots are programmed for the real thing, said Minato. Is everyone ready? Asked Soifun. I don't want whimpers, she said with a cold voice. Everyone nodded. Naruto strapped his Zanpakuto to his waist and looked forwards. Everyone started walking through the portal, and so did Naruto. When Naruto reached the other side he looked around. Everyone had scattered to find their target, and Naruto brought his finger in his mouth and then took it out and pointed it up. He looked around and then decided to run towards the northeast. The instructors looked at what Naruto did. What was that? Asked the bald man. No idea, responded Minato with a shrug. He thinks that by doing that he will find the robot hollow's position, responded Soifun with her hands crossed and eyes crossed. Naruto was running through the forest. He reached a river and he looked left and right. There was nothing. He jumped on the other side and continued running, his white robe shifting as the air passed. The blonde boy suddenly reached a clearing. He stopped behind an bush. In front of him were 5 huge hollows. He suspected they were the robots. He was about to call for help when he saw that the robots were targeting an old man. The blonde boy pondered why they were doing that. He also pondered how come the man could see them, since they were designed so that no living person could see them, only those that had the ability. Naruto saw the robots approaching the old man, and he realized that if he asked for help when it would come, the old man would be dead. He unsheathed his Zanpakuto and jumped out from the bushes and landed in front of the old man, startling him. What? He asked. A Shinigami? Naruto grinned. Yep, only that I'm still in training, he said, but wondered how the old man knew about Shinigami. He decided to ignore that. He jumped up, taking by surprise the robot, and cut him in half, starting from the head. The robot burst into yellow sparks. The blonde boy landed in front of the old man and raised an eyebrow. This is strange. I never saw a hollow robot like this. Hollow robot? Asked the old man. Naruto nodded. Yeah, I'm on a test. I have to kill a hollow robot. What a foolish Shinigami, said one of the hollows. Can you feel his Ryatsu? Asked one of them. He will make a delicious meal. Oh cool, talking and taunting robots, said the blonde boy with a smirk. These are no robots, boy, the old man said. Naruto raised an eyebrow. Then it all clicked. What they said, how the other hollow died, they were the real deal. He stumbled upon real hollows. Crap. The blonde boy cursed as he assumed a defensive position. You got to run, they are only after me, said the old man. Naruto sneered. I don't run away, I will protect people. The old man looked touched of a second. But you are a Shinigami, and? Asked the blonde as he bent down some more and moved his left leg behind his right leg. I am a Quincy. I thought Shinigami kill Quincy, the old man said sadly. Naruto was about to talk again when a hollow charged. He moved his hand that had the shape of a spike to stab Naruto. The blonde boy tilted his Zanpakuto to the side and blocked the attack. Old man, I don't care, you are a Quincy. Stay behind me and I will defend you,